It's Fully Threaded Radio, episode 147.
From what I remember, I talked about the fastener industry forever. I talked about all our association meetings, our parties, my company, all this. They cut all that out.
Here comes Suzy Snowflake, dressed in a snow white gown.
Food is what brings people together. You know, it's such a social adventure. Food and cocktails.
Yeah, that's right.
There's a couple of things I do in Dallas and no one really knows about. For many, many years, I actually think that we could have thrown rocks at each other.
It's time for Fully Threaded Radio.
It is Fully Threaded Radio, voice of the FCH Sourcing Network. If you operate in any capacity in the industrial fastener industry, or if you're one of the hangers-on who shows up at various fastener events for personal reasons, well, this is the podcast for you. We're so glad you clicked in. Hi, everybody. Eric Dudas here, and the co-host of Fully Threaded is with me as well. He's a man widely thought to be second most likely to appear on a cable cooking show. An all-round nice guy. He's Brian Musker. You doing all right, Bri?
I'm much more wary now. I'm going to keep well out of the way of anyone throwing bloody rocks at me. I have to say that.
Yeah, that was a pretty funny opener there, and we'll get to that later. But you don't have to worry, Bri. Don't worry. You're cool.
Right.
I presume you're getting everything ready for a big holiday soiree over there, though.
Yes, well, we have like 3 holiday soirees. It's a fairly full-on event. So one of them is later today. And no, everything's under control. It's cool.
Of course, it's under control because, let's face it, you're very good at what you do in the kitchen as well as in the fastener, what do we call that? A fastener IT lab. And it's a good thing, too.
That's right. But I wouldn't want to I don't want to change places with Suzy. But the last thing I would ever want to do in my life is what she volunteers for, okay?
And if you have no idea what Brian's talking about, everybody, you will by the time this episode is over, because this is episode 147 of Fully Threaded Radio. This time we're publishing on December 18th, 2019. And the feature segment is a look behind the scenes at what happened when Advanced Components CEO Suzy Cravens appeared on the Food Network's Christmas Cookie Challenge, which some of you may be familiar with, those of you who are foodies and you watch that sort of thing. Well, our very own fastener industry, Suzy Cravens, became a momentary star when she showcased her cookie decorating skills, and you'll hear all about it. We'll kick things off today with a very powerful conversation with senior digital marketing strategist Ian Heller, who's written extensively on the impact of digital disruption on distributors. He has some thoughts on what's going on out there in the marketplace, and you're not going to want to miss this. Also, David Palmquist of ND Industries is on the Pac-West board, and he joins us to talk about what's going to be happening in March out in Long Beach, namely a joint conference with the NFDA. Bob GQ Baer joins Mike McNulty on the Fastener News Report today. Some of you may already have heard there's a big headline with the FDI. The November numbers rocked the industry a little bit, and Bob is just the guy to give some analysis on that. Mike and Bob unpack those numbers. Then Mike's got the headlines for you. Plus, Carmen Vertullo's back on the Fastener Training Minute, this time with another certified fastener specialist pop quiz.
Right.
And I guess you could say that's frosting on the gingerbread house, Bri. This is one of those shows you're going to probably want to play a second time, folks. It's got so much going on. And we've got a lot of support, too. Bri, let us know about that.
The title sponsors of Fully Threaded Radio are Stillfast and Brighton Best International. Stillfast, for service you deserve and people you trust. And Brighton Best International, tested, tried and true. Also sponsoring Fully Threaded Radio are Buckeye Fasteners, BTM Manufacturing, Eurolink Fastener Supply Service, Fastener Fair USA, InSequel Software, ND Industries, Parker Fasteners, Volt Industrial Plastics, The Worth Group, and Solution Industries, home of Solution Man and occasionally bobbleheads. So, thank you for a year of sponsorship to all of you, okay? We couldn't produce Fully Threaded Radio without you.
Very true. We'll have more to say about that at the end of today's episode. And thanks to each and every one of you for listening into the podcast. We really do appreciate it when you let it be known to the sponsors that you enjoy the podcast and you get a lot out of it. So please don't stop doing that. Let us know what you think of the show, or if you have ideas for us. The email address is ftr@fullythreaded.com. And we use Twitter a little bit here and there, where the handle is Fully Threaded.
Don't be bashful. We actually appreciate commentary, okay?
We also appreciate, folks, everybody out there who participates in the Fastener Distributor Index. And before we cut to break here real quick, Bri, I want to just make a plea, I guess, for anyone listening who is a fastener distributor in North America who's not participating in the monthly survey. Please consider doing this. We're coming to our 8th year now, Bri. Hard to believe, but 8 years of data we've collected. And we've got a lot of, I think, momentum going with the index and also a lot of credibility. And the more respondents we have, the better. We just have a much better read on what's going on in the industry, and you can help with that.
Right, and that's especially the case probably as we head into the new year, where the numbers and sentiment in the industry is liable to be a little bit changeable. So it benefits everyone if we have, we can expand out the reach of the respondents a bit, okay?
Now, this is a real painless process, everybody. The website is fdisurvey.com. You get on there, request a user ID. We'll send it right out to you. It takes just moments to create your profile. And then once a month, you'll receive a request to jump onto the survey. And the survey literally is less than 2 minutes to complete. The information is 100% confidential. Nobody sees that data, not even the analysts in total, put it that way. It's in the vault. So Brian or nobody else is going to come looking for you with it for anything with that information. We just use it to create the index, and put it this way, it's just become something that's widely used in the industry and a big help.
Right, and the company names and all that stuff are stripped off everything that gets sent to the analyst, so they have no idea which companies have filled in which line of the survey. And you can complete the survey on your phone too, so you don't have to, it's not as if it's a big deal, okay?
It's the season of giving. Give us some data.
Yeah, right. Okay.
So again, the website for that is fdisurvey.com. And speaking of giving, we're going to give you a little break right now, folks. We'll be back on the other side with Ian Heller and a whole bunch of other good stuff.
Right.
Thanks for clicking in. It's Fully Threaded
Radio.
They're like more cowbell for the fastener industry. Brian and Eric. Fully Threaded Radio.
Service, flexibility, innovation. Fully Threaded listeners know that fastener distribution is changing quickly. So this is the mantra you live by to stay ahead of the curve. At Stelfast, we work every day to bring innovation to fastener distributors to keep you competitive. We've made some big changes at Stelfast during the past year, building for the future. And while we build, you can be sure we'll continue to deliver the same great service and personal touch that's made us your trusted partner. Thanks for being a Fully Threaded listener, and thanks for being part of the Stelfast family, where we continue to say, for service you deserve and people you trust, it's Stelfast.
At Brighton Best, we continue to expand our wide range of products, including stainless steel and metric fasteners. Our family of brands include Preferred, US Anchor, and Ironclad Performance Wear. BBI has been a trusted partner since 1925. With award-winning hand tools, gloves, and drywall screws, BBI is the largest master distributor of fasteners in the USA. Tested, tried, and true. We are Brighton Best. To learn more about Brighton Best, visit brightonbest.com.
BTM Manufacturing is a domestic ISO 9001 manufacturer of threaded fasteners and bent wire products. From anchor bolts to studs to U-bolts, BTM is committed to making your per print special with the highest quality standards while meeting your on-time delivery schedule. Since BTM began in 1961, this family-owned business has remained focused on providing exceptional service to their customers. Centrally located in Kansas City, Missouri, BTM recently expanded into a 100,000 square foot facility, which allows for the production and manufacture of many projects simultaneously, both large and small quantity. BTM's website at btm-mfg.com allows you to submit custom quotes quickly and easily, and once you do, a BTM team member will contact you as soon as possible to discuss your needs. Are you ready to get started? BTM is. Visit www.btm-mfg.com today.
Solution Man, Ken.
Solution Man, you're my fastener hero.
Just doing my job, ma'am.
SOLUTION, SOLUTION. Solution Industry. We are Solution.
Hey, this is Clayton Allen from Buckeye Fasteners in Cleveland, Ohio, and you're listening to Fully Threaded Radio.
So, Bri, further to last episode when we were talking about the Fastener Fair USA website.
Yeah. Right.
I was conjuring up this idea about putting together this contest, right? Based on that photo. Remember that?
Yeah, I do.
So I went out there prepping for this episode thinking, what am I going to do? I have these prizes here. And I think Carol pulled the fast one on us. So the whole site's different now. It looks great, but our photo's gone. So much for that contest idea.
You mean the photo where we were discussing which table had the most drinks on it?
Yeah, well, among other things. I guess, yes, that photo. I'm not sure if we had anything to do with the swap out or if that was already in the works, but I guess, timing's everything, right?
Oh, yes, it is.
So FastenerFairUSA.com has a new look, which does not include the aforementioned photo with all the people on it that was from Detroit, right?
Right, yeah.
A lot of good photography on this new version, though. And it's a nice website, but we're going to have to come up with a new contest. Oh, all these shows, Bri. You went to FabTech recently in Chicago, didn't you?
I did, yep. And met up with long-time show...
Amigo,
yeah, I'm trying to work out the right word. And good friend J.R. Prowl, actually.
Former contributor.
Yeah, JHP Fastener. So we met him there. We had a few minutes to talk, and it was really cool. It's a very good show. Yeah,
the Fast Right guys go to that show too.
Mm-hmm.
I've only been to FabTech the one time, a couple years back when it was in Chicago, and the Fast Right guys were there. Well, JR said it's like the best kept secret on the show scene.
Shh.
Yeah, because there's all kinds of potential there and hardly any fastener guys.
I think you let the cat out of the bag. I'm not sure if that's what you meant to do.
Well, it depends on who you ask, Brian. We're doing a public service here for the fastener industry, So how did you enjoy that show? I remember being blown away in the technology advancements that have happened since then. I mean, the whole place must have been just wall-to-wall robotics.
There was, but it was actually different sorts of robotics because it dealt with a lot of the robotics of how you run conveyor systems and, I guess, aimed at distribution is what it is. And but also some of the really new stuff relating to capturing the shape of objects if you wanted to do 3D manufacturing. And, when we sat and made our little old nuts and bolts and screws as an example, 3 or 4 years ago, you had to make a drawing of it and you print it from that. Now they have these things where you just scan the shape and it builds up its 3D image and just print that. It's really, some of this is even, the changes are very rapid, okay?
Yeah, we're every day we're getting closer to the point where it's like the old Doctor Who, where you just take an object and put it in like a shoebox, push a button, and a replica would come out the other side.
Right. Well, it's sort of close to that. It requires a little bit more manual intervention, but picking up the shape from just holding a thing and wandering around an object, and it builds a scan of its shape and its own 3D memory, and that's it. So it's really something that sounds so crazy, but you can see it working. And so they had a lot of stuff like that. But that was only it was a lot of it. However, that was the minor part of it. The major part was all of the equipment that you would use if you were either manufacturing something or running your conveyor lines and things like that.
Good thing none of this relates to the fastener industry, right, Brian?
Oh, yeah, no. Yeah. Yeah, right.
Yeah, what an amazing place. And that's at the McCormick Center.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And what was it, like 60,000 attendees or something? It was huge.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was wall-to-wall people and all the really big names, and I guess the people who carried the equipment, all of the little robots picking stuff out and putting them here and there and cutting up equipment, doing all that sort of stuff, all that from all over the world. It was full of it.
All right, well, I'd like to hit that show again one of these days, but we shouldn't talk about it anymore. You know, we don't want to upset JR.
I thought the reason that you liked that show was you had your picture taken in front of a great big sign that said Big Ass Fans.
I did, yeah, that's right. I got a hat too.
All right.
These days I wear a Kerr Lakeside hat, but I had a lot of fun with that one. You know, speaking of all those robots and stuff, what made me think of that, about an hour ago, I was looking at the Ironclad YouTube channel, and there's a video they have called Handzilla. And at first I thought it was a giant hand robot. As it turns out, I think it was just kind of like a set piece or like a photo op piece, you know, for a trade show. But there's this giant hand with their logo on it and everything. The Ironclad gloves.
Uh-huh.
Of course, our friends at Bright and Best are closely involved with that. And, hey, so the Ironclad YouTube channel, everybody get out there, make sure you do. There's some great videos there. They've done a good job with it. But let's now return to our contest idea, which is how we started this whole diatribe off, Bri.
It's not a diatribe, it's an exciting commentary, okay?
Exactly. Thank you for the correction.
It's okay.
We were talking about the season of giving, so we're going to give away some Ironclad gloves and some BTM Manufacturing U-Bolt Blend coffee, which is also a big favorite around the holidays, Bri.
Wow. You're being very generous.
Well, we have good sponsors, you know, BTM, Bright and Best. There are others, but this time around, we're going to package those two up. And what do you say? First 3 listeners, we got to come up with something good, Bri. What should we do? Suzy's coming up. Pick something out of Suzy's segment.
Oh, well, you should pick out the thing that Suzy talks about. What ingredient did she miss out of her cookie recipe?
Oh, that's a good one. Yeah, so that's what it'll be. The first 3 listeners who can email us and tell us what ingredient Suzy forgot to include on her Food Network channel appearance, you'll get that package of goodies. Nice.
Good Christmas present.
Yeah. Well, we've been threatening to do this for a while, and perfect time of year to start.
It is.
BTM Manufacturing, Bright and Best, coming through for the fully threaded listeners. Now, before we get to this segment with Ian Heller, Eurolink is also coming through because London Penland has released his 9th vlog in the series that we've been talking about. Saw a tweet fly by on this one. This time he's comparing hex flange bolts, that's DIN 6921. You knew that, Bri.
Oh, of course.
With ISO 4162.
Right, I'm not quite so familiar with that, so something I have to watch too then.
Yeah, well, get out there and watch episode 9 of London's blog. He says, save some money and time by not making these mistakes.
Well, we all like that, okay.
Eurolink Fastener Supply Service, furthering the education of the fastener industry. And right now, we're going to play this segment that I recorded the other day with Ian Heller. And he wrote a story that appeared in Modern Distribution Management that I saw way back in May. And then it was recycled in November. And I figured, I got to pick up the phone and call Ian. Hadn't talked to him for a while. And this has to do with something that's been a topic of a lot of discussion lately around the industry. And that has to do with supply chain disruption, primarily being generated by, I guess, let's just call it the digital revolution.
Okay. We like buzzwords like that.
Well, we like the words. We don't necessarily like the discomfort that it causes. What was it? Fuka?
Yeah, right.
'Tis not the season for Fuka, but unfortunately we have to live with it.
Yeah, especially around Christmas. We don't need that.
No. Anyway, listen to this segment and you'll probably diminish yours. Yet another gift from us to you.
Wow, we're in a very generous mood.
We speak a lot about forces acting on the industrial distribution space on the podcast. And now joining us is a guy who knows quite a bit about that, comments on it. He's Ian Heller, currently with Real Results Marketing. Hey, Ian, thanks for hopping on with us.
Hey, Eric, thank you for the opportunity. Happy to talk to you.
Yeah, thanks for being here. It's been a while. And last time you were on, we were commenting on a story that appeared from Modern Distribution Management. And boy, it's going back some time, but there was a story, a headline actually, that surfaced recently again, and it caught my eye. And I said, boy, I got to get Ian back on here because quite provocative. The title of it was Distributors Are About to Get Commoditized. And I know you have a lot to say on that subject.
Yeah, well, I tell you, I would say everything that's happened since then has reinforced that view, at least to me. Particularly since it's no longer just Amazon Business, but a bunch of other players getting into B2B marketplaces as well.
So let's boil it down. What was the main thrust of this story? Because the fastener distributor, typically that's listening to Fully Threaded Radio, is probably, there's a little overlap here with this, but also they're doing a lot of specials and things. But from the commodity side, how is what you said in this story going to hit?
Well, yeah, I mean, I think there's a range of vulnerability for distributors. So you've got, the people on the very vulnerable side, like the office supplies providers who are already struggling with this, and to some degree the MRO providers like Grainger, et cetera. And then on the very opposite end of the extreme, you've got, pure building material suppliers, doors, windows, roofing, concrete products, et cetera, and they're much less vulnerable. I would say, the fastener distributors are somewhere in the middle, and to the degree that those fastener distributors have important services like sourcing, et cetera, they've got some protection, but to some degree, the marketplace providers are attacking that as well, but with different tools than people. They're using artificial intelligence. And so, I remember I was looking at job descriptions for job openings for Amazon one time, and they had one for a machine data scientist to work on Alexa, and they said the job description said, our vision is that Alexa will be the world's most knowledgeable product expert who knows you in a store that sells everything, a digital product expert that is always available with superhuman knowledge of every product ever made. Now, that sounds almost nonsensical. I mean, how could you have a voice or, and already to some degree, a product image identification system where you could just, snap a picture of something or talk about it, and the machine can recognize it better than a human being can.
Right. Well, a few years ago, that sounded completely outlandish, but more and more, it seems like people are thinking, well, maybe that's true. Maybe it's possible.
Well, it's interesting because Home Depot just launched that this weekend. At least that's when I first saw the notification. I got an email, just a marketing email from Home Depot just this last weekend. And it said, you can now take a picture of a product, or you can describe it into the Home Depot app on your smartphone, and we'll match it for you. And Eric, you think about how much trouble distributors have with product data, generally speaking. Just trying to get it attributed and organized and standardized. Now imagine if that work was all so done, or so well done, that you could put a layer of AI, artificial intelligence, on top of it, and it could interpret voice or images into specific product attributes. And Amazon does that every day on their app, right? I mean, you can use their app right now and point it at something or describe something, and it'll match. Does a pretty good job matching well, what's going to happen when all that accumulated knowledge, because AI gets smarter on its own, every Alexa search ever contributes to it being better the next time you point it at something, and it can recognize products on a job site or on a factory floor that the buyer can't. So you point your phone at something and say, Alexa, do you know what that is? And Alexa says, yeah, those are Husqvarna XL5000 blades or whatever. And you say, good, order me 20 of them and deliver them by drone to this spot. Well, that's not far away. It sounds space age, but we're talking, a handful of years before that's going to be a pretty common way of ordering products.
So in the broader industrial distribution space, there obviously some companies are most vulnerable, but for fastener distributors, there's probably still a little bit of a lifespan. So what should companies be doing in the meantime to keep up?
Yeah, well, I think, the sort of the good news about competing with companies like Amazon and, Walmart, who's building a marketplace, and Google, who's building a marketplace, and Alibaba, who's, making stronger efforts in the U.S. market. The thing to remember is that strategically, they're very disciplined, which means they're making specific decisions about what they're going to do, and also by, logical extension, specific decisions about what they're not going to do. And if you look at the marketplace economics, they really rely on people not being involved in delivering the order or processing the order. You've probably been at a conference where a consultant has asked, okay, how many people in the room have an Amazon Prime account? You ever heard somebody ask that from the stage? It's pretty common.
Sure.
And everybody raises their hands. And the speaker's making the point that Amazon's very popular. I ask a different question. I ask the room, how many of you have ever called Amazon to place an order? And of course, nobody raises their hands because everybody knows that you can't.
It sounds funny.
Right. Yeah. And because our expectation is that that's not available to you.
Right.
Well, if you as a distributor do things that require people, I have to call or people have to be involved. So that might be, kitting or labeling or some kind of configuration or setup or on-site auditing, like safety auditing, on-site inventory management. There's hundreds and hundreds of services out there. The more of those you do that require people, the less likely those marketplaces, at least for the foreseeable future, can match that value add. And what I tell distributors is, look, you don't need to start from scratch. Just go online, look up a whole bunch of distributors that are somewhat similar to you, and write down all their services and define them. And then I do this over and over again when I do keynotes. So whatever audience I'm at, whether it's automotive parts wholesalers or food equipment distributors or you name it, I do this all the time. I go to all their websites in advance and I just write down all their services, and then I show them to the audience, which is nothing that any of them couldn't have done on their own. And I say, okay, here's your list. Now take this out to your customers and say, which of these would you pay me to do? And then start adding to that services menu. And if you don't have a services tab on your website on the homepage with a clearly defined list of services, then you're making yourself more vulnerable to these marketplaces than you need to be, because they're unlikely to do any of those services that involve humans in the value delivery process. So in the short term, get really good at services, learn how to, develop them, how to price them, how to market them, how to sell them. And, the more you spend effort there and get good at that, then, the bigger the moat between you and some of these marketplaces who rely on value delivery without people involved.
Okay, so that sounds like something that many fastener distributors seem to have a pretty good grasp of currently, but it's very good that you're reinforcing it here, because I attend a lot of industry events as well. And whenever the Amazon effect comes into the conversation, people always react by that. Well, we have these services that differentiate ourselves. What you're saying is focus on them and grow them. So good advice. Now,
well, hold on though, because
sure.
You got to make sure that you're doing this in a really robust way. Because right now, the way most distributors do it is they just roll that service into the price of the product, which is really difficult because that means your pricing tends to be higher than people who are just selling products. So when people go online, you're losing the price comparison game. So I would say, in addition to having those services, promote them properly. Do you have a services tab? And also start working on how you price and sell those separate from being bundled into the product. So, maybe there are distributors, who do that. I would say get better at it, because there are entire industries made up out of services, but for some reason distributors have a hard time charging for them separately from the product.
Okay, good point. Good point. Now, for the companies that still are heavily involved in commodity selling, though, you've got a comment here in your story that mentions it's somewhere between 65 to 80% failure rate of B2B distributors investing in online capabilities. And again, that's for the general industrial market, not for fastener guys, but let's just say that's sort of a benchmark. So for that means there's some that are succeeding. What are the ones that are succeeding doing, given that they're not all going to be Amazons and Walmarts? Some of them are smaller guys. What are they doing differently?
Yeah, I think one of the first things you want to do is stop evaluating the success of your website based on what's selling through the shopping cart, and stop building your website with that as the default objective, because that's not necessarily really what your customers are turning to you for, and you're never going to be as good at that as Amazon or Walmart, a bunch of other players. So, I think, I think the big players in the market, some of them anyway, have become obsessed with what percentage of my sales are going through my website. And it's almost been this, race to see who could claim the biggest percentage of their sales going through electronic transactions. And I've seen MSC and Grainger, and I don't want to call them out, I guess I am calling them out, but I don't mean to say that those companies don't have other good plans, because they do, but this notion that the higher the percentage of my sales that comes to the website, the better, I think is false for a couple of reasons. One is that tends to be analyst driven. Analysts have decided that if you're selling a whole bunch through your website, then you're more like Amazon, so you can get a higher multiple on your stock. The problem is, if that's your objective, what you're really doing is making your company more like Amazon, and you're moving into the bullseye for where they're going. So instead of setting that as an objective and being analyst driven about your e-commerce strategy, start with your customers. What is it your customers want to get online in terms of value delivery? Do they want to get account information? Do they want specific information about specified products for manufacturing or construction? Do they want to get detailed technical information? Do they want to get training? Do they want access to services, access to specific personnel like truck drivers? Let me know where your driver is. I mean, there are lots of ways to deliver value through a website that don't wind up getting billed through the shopping cart. So if you're building a website where that's the objective, you may be building a website that's not actually delivering value that your customers want, and you're measuring the results of your e-commerce efforts with something that's not that important to your customers. So I think, look, it all starts with the customer. In the long run, it's not about the analysts. If you're solving for customer needs, eventually, your stakeholders, whether it's a PE company, a family, single owner, public markets, over time, they're going to win, because you're going to be out delivering value versus your competitors. But start with customers, add value, and measure yourself based on your ability to add, to help your customers, and quit thinking that the game is sell as much as possible online. And if I can't do that, then I've failed.
Okay. So avoid just doing something for its sake. Do it for the benefit of the customer. And that's really the way to survive.
Build it for your customers, not Amazon's.
Right. Now, a couple moments ago, you said that you're not going to call anybody out, which is cool and understandable. But last time
did, sorry.
Hey, no worries. Last time we talked, though, you mentioned that somebody out there, a big boy, did call somebody else out, and that was Amazon had called out Grainger, and they're known for really putting out, I guess, or they used to be, for kind of putting out inflammatory press against some of their adversaries in the market. According to Industrial Distribution, in 2018, Grainger was about $11.2 billion in revenues. So that puts them at the top of the distribution heap out there. Has Amazon made any progress against Grainger as far as you can tell, or what's going on with that battle?
Yeah, so Amazon does not have an SEC requirement to disclose Amazon business revenues, because it's below the reporting threshold, which is kind of ironic. So, they were a $10 billion company in the third quarter of 2018. I'm talking about just Amazon business. But I think the SEC reporting requirement is it has to be 10% of your business. So, Lawson Products, which is much smaller, has to report all this detailed information about divisions that are, 10% of its revenue that are in the tens of millions. But Amazon does not have to report on Amazon Business because due to their enormous size, they'll be probably $280 billion this year. They don't need to break out any segments that will be under 28 billion or whatever. So nobody really knows the size of Amazon Business except the people at Amazon. But the Royal Bank of Canada just last week said that Amazon Business is growing at 115% year over year, and it's going to be worth $31 billion in revenues by 2023. Now, I don't know how they know that, but that's their estimate. And they are claiming that that's vastly faster growth than either the retail business of Amazon or AWS, the cloud services part of the company. And so, they think Amazon Business is growing at more than twice the rate of AWS, which has been sort of the, the glamour part of the growth business at Amazon. And they're, predicting that that's going to continue. There's another analyst that claims that, within, 9 years now, Amazon Business will be between 115 and 245 billion in total revenues. I mean, nobody really knows, but clearly the company is growing very, very quickly. So I would say even today, there's almost no doubt that Amazon Business is much larger than Grainger, and that's likely to continue. Now, Grainger's got a bunch of smart people over there, and I think they're aggressively reacting. The Zoro division, for example, sells products on Walmart.com and on Google Shopping, which is the Google marketplace. And so they have obviously a marketplace strategy. It'll just be interesting to see if they can, adapt their business enough to, fend off too much incursion from Amazon Business.
You don't want to see anybody lose the fight, but right. You got to figure some of that growth that Amazon's getting is coming from other markets.
Well, look, distributors don't create demand, they serve demand, right? Manufacturers can create demand through product innovation. Distributors are, for the most part, selling to a fixed pool, and then they're all sharing it. And, when you have Google Shopping and Walmart.com and Amazon Business and, Alibaba, et cetera, taking up tens of billions of dollars of revenue, they're taking that away from someone. And the more generic, sort of broadline distributors with fewer services that are essential to the average transaction, they're the ones who are the most vulnerable.
Your latest endeavor is Real Results Marketing, Ian Heller. Tell us all about that. What are you up to these days?
Yeah, so I actually founded this company in 2003, and I sold it to Jonathan Bine in 2010 when I went back to take an operating role as a VP of Marketing at a division of HD Supply. And then I had another gig after that with Modern Distribution Management. And then I left there a couple of months ago and rejoined my old company. So, founder and senior partner at Real Results Marketing. We do strategic planning, marketing planning, quite a bit of data analytics, around specific distributors and helping them understand their markets for, planning and diagnostic purposes. And then we do some website integrations to build out e-commerce capabilities. So, and Jonathan's done a nice job growing the company. So I'm delighted to be back with Real Results Marketing. And my email is ian@realresultsmarketing.com. If anyone would like to talk about the issues we talked about today or talk about some consulting that we can do to help them.
So let me just get this straight. You would be in a position to help companies as they make a transition from traditional distribution into the online world. Is that what you're aiming at?
Yeah, always. The answer is always yes on a consulting basis when it comes to doing the planning.
Should have known.
Depending on depending on the nature of the e-commerce solution that they need, we might be able to help them actually stand it up as well.
Okay, again, that's realresultsmarketing.com, Ian Heller. Well, you're a super knowledgeable guy and fun to talk to, and we could go on for hours, I'm sure, but you have places to go, things to do, and I do thank you so much for just spending a few minutes out of your busy day with us.
Thanks, Eric. It was a pleasure to talk to you again.
It's Fully Threaded, folks. We'll be back in a moment.
At Brighton Best, we continue to expand our wide range of products, including stainless steel and metric fasteners. Our family of brands include Preferred, U.S. Anchor, and Ironclad Performance Wear. BBI has been a trusted partner since 1925. With award-winning hand tools, gloves, and drywall screws, BBI is the largest master distributor of fasteners in the USA. Tested, tried, and true. We are Brighton Best. To learn more about Brighton Best, visit brightonbest.com.
Hello.
Hello.
You've been walking the Fastener Show for a while?
Yes. However, I'm wearing very comfortable shoes.
How would you like some Old Rusty Bolt beer?
I'm not a smart man, but Mama warned me about these things.
Well, that's probably because Mama never tried Old Rusty Bolt. Only the finest beverage in the fastener business.
All right. I'll give it a try. This is pretty good. I'm starting to feel funny. Jenny! Something's happening. Whoa. I feel.
Sum of the square roots of any two sides of an isosceles triangle is equal to the square root of the remaining side.
Old Rusty Bolt, making the fastener world feel smarter, one beer at a time. So how do you feel?
I gotta pay.
I believe he said he had to pee.
The preceding message was brought to you by Buckeye Fasteners and the Ohio Nut and Bolt Company, proud Fastener Show sponsors of Old Rusty Bolt beer, official beer of the traveling salesman.
ND Industries has been solving customers' toughest problems through innovative technologies, competitive pricing, and industry-leading service since 1955. A family-owned business, ND Industries manufactures and applies fastener locking, bonding, sealing, masking, and assembling products. Their pre-application process makes fasteners ready to use at the point of assembly, resulting in reduced labor costs, time savings, and superior quality assurance. As a fully integrated company, ND handles all aspects of operations, from formulating custom chemical compounds and coating fasteners to providing inline inspection, packaging, and delivery services. ND Industries serves the global market with 13 divisions in the continental U.S. and also facilities in Taiwan, China, and Turkey. Learn more about ND Industries at our website at www.ndindustries.com. ND Industries. Innovative technologies, competitive pricing, and industry-leading service. Contact ND today.
Hi, this is Lisa Kleinhandler from Fastener News Desk at fastener-related.com, where we bring you all things fascinating. You're listening to Fully Threaded Radio with Eric and Brian.
Brian and Eric back with you on the online Fastener Party Bungalow.
Party boat.
Yeah, well, very appropriate, Bri, as we're going to soon hear. This is the news segment of the podcast, everybody. Thanks for clicking into Fully Threaded Radio. And we always like to support the Pac-West and the NFDA. And here with us to discuss the upcoming, very exciting, what is it, a tabletop conference? What are you guys billing this, David? David Palmquist with ND Industries, also a board member of Pac-West. Hey, Dave.
Hey, guys. Yes, it is a joint conference. We're really excited about it. It's one of our best events that we do historically, is bringing the NFDA together with the Pac-West group and doing the joint conference and tabletop show in Long Beach.
It's going to be quite groovy, and as we all know, the Pac-West is the grooviest of all the fastener associations.
This is California talk, is it?
Well, last time I saw David actually at a Pac-West event, he had this giant disco fro. You remember that?
Yes, I do. And it was
pretty groovy.
It was quite the get up, and just, I guess, to substantiate your claim of our grooviness, despite my excellent get up, I did not win the prize. So that meant that there was somebody more groovier than I. So our grooviness runs deep.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. We've got Suzy Cravens coming up after the news report, actually, and she was dressed up like a Campbell's soup can. And of course, her husband Suzy Cravens was Andy Warhol. So she was Andy's Ken, but I mean, the get-ups that were there adding to the general grooviness was just fantastic, and it was a wonderful event. However, you think you could have pulled that off with the NFDA participating?
I don't know. I'm going to say no comment on that one.
So is this going to be similar to the last one in Long Beach? I mean, I loved that show, actually.
Yes, we do this every couple years, and it's a really neat event because it combines the normal aspects of our conferences with the opportunities to network, to hang out, to learn with the different conferences that are there, and but also with a tabletop, we get together and have a very just an informal time to just kind of share what we do and each company. And then, of course, being in the Long Beach area, Southern California area, we end up with a few hundred people that come out specifically just to see the tabletop. And so it's quite a gathering of different industry folks, and it's a great time to get together and a great venue.
The Pac-West and NFDA Joint Conference and Tabletop is coming up March 4th through the 6th, 2020. As David just mentioned, that's happening in Long Beach at the Westin Long Beach. Details for this event are available at the website pac-west.org. And David, you are a member of the board this time around. What's your position with the board now?
I am currently vice president of the Pac-West board.
Wow. Very cool. So how's it shaping up? What are some of the highlights of this event? What can you share with us?
Well, we've got typically it's a pretty full calendar. We're golfing, of course, because that seems to be a prerequisite for any gathering with the Fastener folks, and opportunity for the hospitality a couple times throughout the event, and then of course we've got the tabletop show. We have 2 general sessions that'll be coming up on Thursday the 5th. And on Friday, March 6th, we've got a couple more general sessions as well as the roundtables, which are extremely beneficial for both the business owners and the executives alike. And one of the highlights that we're looking forward to is a port tour that we'll be able to go out on a boat in a group, and they'll take us through the inner workings of the port, which would be of keen interest with so many of our members being distributors that are importing material. It's a great opportunity to see kind of what happens over there.
Oh yeah, to see where a lot of the stuff comes in, because it's a big container port, Long Beach, isn't it?
Now, many people are familiar with Long Beach and that view from the city looking at those ports, which are quite awesome to behold. But I bet very few people have actually had the perspective of being in the water and then receiving a tour like this. So I think that's going to be a great opportunity and a really good job by the board with coming up with this cool idea.
Yes, we're really excited about it. We're looking forward to the opportunity to share that, and we're just waiting for the final details to come through. But so far, everything is looking good for that event to come up on the schedule.
Cool.
Hopefully that'll get locked in, and I presume that reservations for participating in that will be at the website, right?
That is correct. Yeah, everything that you need for the joint conference is available at pac-west.org.
Right, that's pac-west.org, and man, it's going to be a good one. These are always well attended, but with the NFDA in attendance, I think it'll be that much better. So not to be missed.
Yeah, right. So what new stuff are you going to be showing in the ND Industries tabletop?
Well, we have several new high temperature products that are new to market. We've got a Thermolock 1500. It's a reactive adhesive that's a pre-applied product, and it's the highest temperature adhesive for threaded fasteners that is a pre-applied. And we've also got a ThermoSeal, which is also a high temperature sealant, again, for threaded fasteners. So that's a couple of our latest products. And we've got a few other evolutionary items that just continue to come to market. Our ElectroLock is another popular item right now that's an adhesive geared towards the electronics market for small fasteners.
Okay.
And we're excited about those.
Cool. Well, if I'm very lucky and I can get Eric to stand behind the table, I might be able to rush over and have a look at some of your stuff. Normally I'm chained to the table, okay?
Don't worry, Bri. I'll help you out.
Yeah, you and me both, Brian. You and me both.
Right. You're not wearing the wig to this one, are you, Dave?
You know, I'm unpredictable. You just don't know. You'll have to show up and see.
Okay.
Now, ND Industries is a platinum sponsor of the Pacific West Fastener Association, so they're putting their muscle behind this event, as well as many other fine sponsors. And I guess I'll just take this moment to say how much we appreciate ND sponsoring Fully Threaded all these years as well. We've got to get you guys on the podcast to run down some of these other amazing products that ND's continuously coming out with. And I hope that you will take us up on that offer one of these days, David.
Yes, we're happy to be a part, both with the organizations, with Fully Threaded Radio, and just as the industry as a whole. Any chance we can give back, we love to do that. And I know we need to get on these podcasts and share what we've got going on. I wish I could just tell you when.
It's really easy.
We'll talk out there in Long Beach. What do you think?
That's right. You can hold me to that.
Okay.
And once again, folks, that's the Pac-West and NFDA tabletop event happening March 4th through the 6th. That's in Long Beach. Get out to the Pacific West website and get yourself signed up for this. You will not regret it. It's time and money well spent. And speaking of sponsors and all that participating, thank you, David, for doing your part with the Pacific West.
Absolutely. I'm pleased to be here, and I really appreciate you guys taking the time to chat with me today. And now with news about screws you can use, here's Mike McNulty.
Wow, pretty good.
Yeah, very good. I like how you just jumped in with that.
Yeah.
Do it again.
Thanks, David. This is Mike McNulty from Fastener Technology International Magazine, bringing you the Fastener News Report, which is sponsored by Volt Industrial Plastics, makers of the world's finest plastic fasteners. The Cleveland Browns are on the verge of making it 17 straight years without a playoff appearance, and I am way behind in Christmas preparation, but I am still focused on fasteners and ready to deliver today's Fastener News Report. In this episode, Bob Baer of Abbott Interfast and the MWFA joins us to reveal the latest results of the Fastener Distributor Index, also known as the FDI. Also in today's broadcast, we have our top story on aerospace fastener industry growth, as well as newsmaker headlines from several industry leaders, including Birmingham Fastener, EFC, Spiral, Sherricks, MW, Smalley, Brighton Best, and Sundrum Fasteners. On the back page report, we're going to talk about threaded rod trade battles. We'll get to all of that and the latest FDI results right after this.
There's a reason Volt Industrial Plastics is an industry leader in plastic clip, clamp, and custom fastener manufacturing. With over 100 million parts in stock that can be shipped the same day, Volt has some of the fastest lead times in the industry. Volt can do color. We have the capability of molding over 120 different materials and can color match for specific applications. You need it? We can build it. At Volt, we have state-of-the-art technology to build prototypes to customer specs. And although some companies provide similar products, we offer customer service that's second to none, setting us apart from our competition. And now available, Volt's new light-duty cable clamps. With maximum diameters ranging from 3/16 to a ½ inch, these clamps are ideal for hard-to-reach spaces, electronics, and finish work. They prevent corrosion with metal tubing, and with plastic tubing, they won't bind or warp, preventing leaks while maintaining the flow of liquids. Volt Industrial Plastics, the finest, fastest plastic fasteners in the world. Visit us at voltplastics.com.
Hey mates, Brian Muscat. Regardless of the required size, material or finish, Eurolink has the European resources to meet your demands for hard-to-find metric fasteners. We're the one-stop source for all of your metric needs, saving you time and money searching for these parts while fulfilling all of your requirements. How do we do it? Eurolink offers access to more than 100,000 quality C-class parts with the ability to solve your toughest metric fastener supply issues every time. Hard-to-find metric fasteners delivered. Just think of us as your heavy metal rock stars. To learn more about how we can rock your world or request a hassle-free quote online, visit eurolinkfss.com. That's eurolinkfss.com.
Mike McNulty.
The seasonally adjusted Fastener Distributor Index for November was 46.7, slowing sharply versus October's result of 52.1 and dipping back into the contractionary territory for the second time in 2019. Fastener Distributor Index data is collected and analyzed by the FCH Sourcing Network, the National Fasteners Distributors Association, and Baird. The FDI seeks to identify demand, pricing, and outlook trends within the American fastener distribution industry. To get some insight on these results, we talked to Bob Baer, president of Abbott Interfast and MWFA treasurer. Hi, Bob. Thanks for joining us on the Fastener News Report.
Hi, Mike. Thanks for the invite once again. It's always fun to join you on the podcast and talk about the numbers.
Yeah, good to have you on the. This is the year-end recording, I guess. I just realized that, and we're ending the year with a whimper. What do you think about the latest FDI results?
Well, I'm not surprised. There was a little survey was going on earlier in the year at one of the shows, and the lovely and talented Lynn Dempsey was going around asking people, and I was one of the few who predicted it to be in the black by the end of the year, or in the red, sorry, by end of the year, but not this deep, certainly. It's you mentioned that it's the second time this year in the red. It's actually the second time since October of 16. So we haven't been at these levels in a long time.
And it was the thing that surprised me is how steep of a drop it was. I think that they said it was the steepest drops in 3 years. So
yeah, absolutely has been. Out of the two of them, it's the steepest of the two. And it's not surprising, I guess, if you've been following the PMI. Everything has been trending down, and we've managed to stay above the line actually longer than the PMI has, but now we're actually, so we lag a little behind. Now we're actually in the same boat.
Right, and PMI's been down 4 months in a row.
It has.
For the PMI to be down.
Yeah, and the levels we had a year ago today, the FDI was 58.2, we're at 46.7. The PMI was 59.3, we're at 48.1. So, we are moving neck and neck in the same direction. The PMI actually in the last 6 months has shown contraction consistently, especially in the manufacturing sector. Our forward-looking index, which is the newest index, 10 of the 11 months this year have been below the line. So, that should have been some indication of where we were headed.
And it did, month to month, it ticked up a little bit versus October. The reading was 46.5 this time around versus 44.4. So it's a slight increase, but as you pointed out, it's the 10th out of the last 11 below the 50-point mark.
Yes, and certainly the tariffs, are impacting that, the upcoming election. I looked at some of the details of the index, and looks like selling has something to do with it. Everybody's predicting softer sales. I think prices have been pretty steady. Employment has been pretty steady in our sector. So it just basically is going to boil down to sales sentiment moving forward.
Right. The sales number for November dropped dramatically to 35.5. The lowest level this year for sure, and I didn't go far back to see when the last time we had a 35.5 on the sales.
I didn't look at that either.
But that was the big factor dropping it down. But on the bright side, the 6-month outlook ticked up again versus last month as well, and we had a result. We had 30% of the respondents think that sales will be better 6 months from now. 42 think that it'll be the same, and only 27% think it will be lower. And this is, I believe I tracked it back. It's the best outlook in the last 1.5 years on a 6-month outlook, if that means anything.
Yeah, I'm sure it does. One of the things for certain that happens this time of year, if you're selling public companies, is nobody wants their inventory high at the end of the year. So
clearance sale.
The sales sentiment will naturally drop a little, right? And then inventories climb a little, and both of those have a negative impact on the index. I think from what I've heard from the few economists I've seen in the last 3 to 4 months, we're basically following trend here. They're expecting us to be down somewhere into maybe the first half of 2020, and then they're expecting a little bit of a turnaround.
Right.
I listened to Alan Bolio at STAFTA, and he has the same sentiment, that we're going to turn around next year. Tariffs, while the tariffs are absolutely painful and the economy slowing, it's still growth. It's slow growth.
Right. It's still growth. That's important. It's not recession. It's just slower growth.
Exactly. Although they're talking about a recession now in 2022. At least that's what he was selling us at STAFTA.
No, that's a ways off, right?
It is. It is. A lot of things can change, including our president.
Yeah,
Although
right.
a very interesting comment he made was that it doesn't really matter who's in the White House, whether it's the Republicans or the Democrat. He thought the trend would be the same. I thought that was interesting. Not being an economist, I never thought of it that way. I always thought it had an impact one way or the other, but apparently not, according to them.
Yeah, well, there's some people who have documented that I've seen some economic presentations that document those facts. And the thing that struck me is when the FDI number dropped at 40, came out at 46.5. I think the jobs report came out the next day, and it was very positive, and there was a lot of positive spin on the jobs report. And then now we're looking at the new North American trade agreement. Looks like it's going to become a done deal, and that is something that was not the case when this number came out. So I think those are two things that maybe positively impact people's surveys next time around.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for certain. Payrolls went up over 250,000 jobs, I think, in November. They weren't expecting that. Again, where you can probably predict, healthcare and tech services were up. But the GM strike ended. I think that gave a little bump also as far as employment numbers go. And unemployment is, it's back around 3.5%, which is just incredible.
Right.
Would seem that everybody who wants a job is working.
Just about.
Yeah.
Just about.
Interest rates also, I think they cut interest rates for the third time. And from what I'm reading, the Fed's probably going to hold and not do anything till maybe after the election at this point.
Well, which can't come soon enough, I guess, right?
Yeah, I mean, they had out nine, how many times they raised in a row, and then they finally held, and now they cut 3 times. But the Fed definitely wants to sustain the expansion. What is this, our 11th year or something?
Yeah, that's incredible. That is. I mean, it's been slow, but it's been steady, and it's been good. And it's okay to have cycles. I mean, you need corrections and things like that. I think we don't avoid is the dramatic ones like we had in 2009, the really jumping off the cliff.
Yeah, the market has done well at the same time. I mean, this year the markets are up anywhere from 19 to 30%, depending on which one you look at. Outside of energy stocks, because oil and gas is cheap and they're taking a little bit of a hit. But durable goods affect our economy, and what's happening there is while they're up and down monthly, the range that they're fluctuating is tighter than it's been in the last 10 years. So I think it's more predictable, and I think maybe the economists have a better handle on future forecasts than they did in the past. Maybe they're going to be a little more accurate.
Well, I just hope we're not building any bubbles in the stock market or anywhere else. The only one that I think is growing for sure is maybe in salaries of football coaches in the NFL and in the college ranks. I saw some charts. It's like, should have picked a different profession.
How about it?
Lots of assistants making over $1 million a year in the college football
unbelievable.
ranks.
It used to be just the pros. Now it's college. It won't be long before high school kids are playing ball or making more money than we are. Along those lines, also, it's interesting that on a daily basis, the baby boomers are retiring. I think the clip is like 10,000 a day are retiring. So when you start talking about salaries, I think the millennials are going to enjoy some pretty hefty pay increases coming up here over the next 10 years because there's going to be such a shortage in the labor market. I don't know how that can possibly be made up, especially, with all the immigration stuff going on, and we're trying to limit that at the same time. We're really shrinking our labor force.
Right. Yeah, the numbers don't look good. And the baby boomers, and I technically fall into that group, but they are pretty demanding.
They are.
They're needy.
Where did I read it? I read an article, and it was the funniest thing that they said. And they're not all like this, by the way. I don't want to categorize millennials into one group, but
right.
The quote said that the millennial is already thinking about his next job on the first day he starts with you. I don't know if that's true or not.
Distracted,
the millennials
looking over your shoulder.
They are the future of our industry and our country. So But there's a perspective out there.
Right, and people will fill the gaps.
They do.
You know.
They do.
All right. Well, let me jump over. We're getting
stuck.
sidetracked. I'll jump onto the respondent commentary. This was, I think, it was more tempered than the FDI drop. We had one comment that said we're 22% above last year at this time. Our customers say they are going to be getting really busy. Another comment said it seems slow day to day, but then on other days the phone's ringing off the hook. And another one, December is usually very slow for us. Hopefully it'll be better than last year. We normally experience a slowdown in customer spending in November and December. So maybe, some of this a little bit of expected, some of it, like you said, looking at the PMI, that's just kind of just a slower growth and going to get past this and move on.
Yes, we serve the OEM market here, and we were up nice numbers all year long. And honestly, in the last couple of months, they've just fallen. I mean, you can see it getting quiet. I think Fastenal sales were reported to be down. It's definitely happening going into year end, and I think everybody's cautious about the upcoming election. And definitely we have customers pushing back deliveries that were supposed to go out this year into next year. So I don't know that there's going to be a whole lot of buying going on in the first quarter, because I think we're all trying to shed our inventory. On the other hand, the second half of the year, it's all supposed to rebound back and be good, and we'll have a couple good years before we get to the predicted 2022 recession.
Go to battle stations. Yeah.
Exactly.
So, now, you had mentioned you guys are serving the OEM market. As we wrap this up, I wanted to ask you what's happening at Abbott Interfast and MWFA. I think you guys have a new online catalog coming out, I think, or new online directory.
Actually, we do. We're about to roll out the newest edition of the Nationwide, and we've gone from big, bulky 2-volume book to an online virtual book, as well as our online search website. And that'll come out in January. As we sit here, as we speak, we're in the process of installing another brand new CNC machine. So while things are actually down a little, we're continuing to reinvent ourselves and invest in the future and modern machining. So we're very excited about that. There's
good.
A lot of buzz going around the building. MWFA, we probably be too late with this broadcast, but our holiday party is tomorrow. And we're expecting a very good turnout. Anywhere from 150 to 170 people will be in attendance.
That sounds good.
Yeah, casino night is the theme again. And then coming up in February, we have our annual meeting with the surfing group, the Metal Finishers, on February 20th. And our speaker this year will be Bill Strauss of the Federal Reserve.
Yeah, he spoke at Fastener Tech.
He did speak at Fastener Tech. It was
good.
Yeah, it was an early morning session. It was well worth it. It's unfortunate that our industry likes to invest heavily in liquor the night before. Not a lot of them made it there.
But I was there. It was good.
Yeah, and then in March we'll roll right into our intro educational class.
Good. So a lot going on, and I'm glad to hear you guys are investing at Abbott with on the soft side of the business as well as the hard side with the machinery and the digital stuff. So that's good to hear.
Yeah, contributing to keeping the economy going for certain. It's a good time to do it, I think. Sometimes when business is down, people pull back, but in all reality, those are the times that you need to evaluate what you're doing and reinvest.
Good. Well, I want to thank you again for joining us. It's always good to have you on the Fastener News Report to talk about the FDI and general stuff in the industry. And we look forward to talking to you in the next year and seeing you at some trade events, as well as discussing the FDI in the future.
Well, Mike, I appreciate it. Always love to be on. Not necessarily always love to talk about the numbers, but they are important.
They are what they are.
Exactly. Thanks again. And thank you, Eric, for always having this session and allowing us to participate. Appreciate it.
Very good. That was Bob Baer. He's the president of Abbott Interfast, and he's the MWFA treasurer. The FDI number for November 2019 was 46.7 versus 52.1 the previous month. Visit FDIsurvey.com to participate in the process and get a detailed PDF copy of Baird's monthly analysis. Now for today's top story. Market research company Technavio has been monitoring the global aerospace fasteners market since 2016, and in a new 165-page report, they say that the market is poised to grow by $2.5 billion during the time period of 2020 to 2024 at a growth rate of almost 6% per year. The name of the report is Aerospace Fastener Market Analysis Report by Geography, Application, Material, and Segment. Technavio says that the market is driven by a growing preference for lightweight materials, including the use of titanium-based alloys to manufacture aerospace-grade fasteners. The report identifies Arconic, B&B Specialties, Berkshire Hathaway's Marmon Group, Boeing Distribution, and ClickBond as major suppliers in the aerospace sector, in which the USA has a nearly 40% market share. For details, visit www.technavio.com. Next up, today's Fastener Newsmaker headlines. In acquisition, investment, and expansion news, Birmingham Fastener has opened 2 new branch locations, New York Fastener and Iowa Fastener. EFC International has added motion control products and gas springs to its product offering. Ernest Machines spin-off Xerx LLC has launched a new importing platform. Sherix has selected Spanny to be the master distributor of Sherix's TEC series of washers in Canada. And Spiral has opened a new manufacturing facility in Nuevo Leon, Mexico. In personnel news, Simon Newman will be the MW Industries' new Chief Executive Officer effective January 6, 2020. And the Fastener Industry Coalition, also known as FIC, has named Chuck Halpern from Brighton Best International as its chairman for 2020. In awards news, Smalley has received the GM Supplier Quality Excellence Award for the 7th straight year. Sundram Fasteners chairman Suresh Krishna was awarded the Quality Ratna Award for his lifelong services to the fastener industry. Beck's Wood Nail System was selected as a winner of the German Design Award. 2 Spiral locations have received the GM Supplier Quality Excellence Award, and the 2019 Worldwide Fastener Sources Innovation Awards went to Bullhoff, Bryce Fastener, Grabber Construction Products, ITW Shakeproof, Matt Thread, Penn Engineering, Simpson Strogtie, and Stanley Engineered Fastening. You can get details on all of these stories and more in Fastener Technology International Magazine and the Fastener News Report newsletter, both available online at fastenertech.com. Finally, let's turn to the back page to talk about threaded rod trade battles. Global trade battles continue to impact the fastener industry in many ways, and in particular this year in the area of threaded rod. The latest case puts Thailand in the spotlight as a result of a petition made by Vulcan Threaded Products Incorporated in Alabama. The U.S. International Trade Commission concluded last month that carbon and steel alloy threaded rods from Thailand are being sold in the United States at less than fair value. As a result, the U.S. Department of Commerce will issue anti-dumping duties later on this year on imports of threaded rod from Thailand. Earlier this year, the U.S. DOC issued substantial duties on Chinese and Indian threaded rod being sold in the USA, up to 25% and 155% respectively. And this month, it placed 32.26% duties on imports of Taiwanese threaded rod. The actions on rod from China, India, and Taiwan also came from petitions filed by Vulcan Threaded Products. Like it or not, these trade battles need to be waged, as not everyone likes to play by the rules. I say congratulations to Vulcan, as well as to the folks at the US DOC and the US ITC. As a sidebar to these threaded rod cases, I recently heard a straightforward, sober, and logical presentation of the USA's trade policy given by the Assistant Secretary for Industry and Analysis at the US DOC's International Trade Administration, also known as the ITA, which is also part of the Department of Commerce. This speech was exceedingly more persuasive than any cable news show, political debate, or inane Twitter exchange, and it covered subjects such as intellectual property protection, deliberate predatory trade practices, links between manufacturing and national security, reduction of tax and regulatory burdens on USA manufacturers, and the ongoing pursuit of free and fair trade between trading partners. I came away very impressed with the ITA, which seeks to strengthen the competitiveness of American industries and to ensure fair trade through the rigorous enforcement of USA trade laws and agreements. You can get ITA details at www.trade.gov. This has been Mike McNulty of Fastener Technology International, bringing you the Fastener News Report. Please send your news, pictures, comments, corrections, or complaints to me at mcnulty@fastenertech.com.
Up next, Suzy Cravens of Advanced Components puts the icing on gingerbread and this episode of the podcast. Thanks for listening, everyone. It's Fully Threaded.
Harry, how's your search for new software going?
We've looked at a lot of systems, some with the same old technology, and others didn't seem like they knew much about what we did or needed. We did look at one company, crazy name though, I think it was InSqueakWell.
You mean INXSQL? That's InSQL. That's what we use. We've become much more efficient, and we've been able to offer our customers more services, which makes us more competitive.
Yeah, Inkswell, that's the one. They seem to be the only company that really understood what fastener distributors do for a living, and I found it easy to use.
Harry, it's InSQL, INXSQL. You don't pronounce the X. We buy a lot from several master distributors, and their direct connect simplifies the whole process. When we need pricing and availability quickly, we just hit the F12 key.
If you don't pronounce the X, why put it in there? A friend told me they get great support from NXQuell.
Yes, with InSQL, our experience has been the same. Quality support. They know our business. And the best part is, no extra charges. With our old system, apparently nothing we called about was covered by support.
You know, Inkwell seems to be the right company for us.
They're called InSQL, INXSQL. Go to their website, www.inxsql.com, or call them at 877-446-9775.
Since 1905, Buckeye Fasteners and the Ohio Nut and Bolt Company have been supplying the world with high-quality fasteners. Our standard product lines include weld fasteners, braided weld screws, leg levelers, self-clinching hardware, clevis pins, rivet nuts, and various other fastener lines, allowing us to support virtually all types of industries. We have complete custom manufacturing capabilities in low carbon, medium carbon, and stainless steel materials, and our quality systems are registered to ISO standards. Our on-staff engineering department can assist you with product development and provide total technical support. Our knowledgeable sales team members offer superior customer service and are here to answer any questions you may have regarding our products. Having a hard time finding a part? Let our sourcing specialists do the work for you to locate those items. We offer competitive pricing with typically smaller minimums and shorter lead times. To find out more about Buckeye Fasteners, please call us at 800-437-1689 or on the web at buckeyefasteners.com. Buckeye Fasteners, more than just weld.
Well, hi, everybody. This is Carmen Vertullo with your Fastener Training Minute, coming to you from the Fastener Training Institute and AIM Testing Laboratories in beautiful downtown El Cajon, California. On our last episode, we pulled a question from our Certified Fastener Specialist Training Program, and we presented it to you. That question had to do with heat treating. This question also has to do with heat treating. And here is the question, or actually the statement. Heat treating is used to change the physical properties of fasteners. Heat treating is used to change the physical properties of fasteners. And I want you to think about that. The answer is either true, false, or you don't know. And we're going to listen to Joe Morris for a minute, and when we come back, I'll tell you the answer.
Thank you, Carmen. Hello, everybody. This is Joe Morris with the Fastener Training Institute. Wow, oh my goodness, what a year 2019 has been for the Fastener Training Institute. I really would like to give a heartfelt thank you to everyone who has helped us this year, including our phenomenal instructors, our sponsors, the remarkable associations we have in this industry, and most of all, the students. Without all of you, we would not be able to produce new content, expand to new locations, or put on the quantity nor the breadth of product topics. Our plans are not to slow down in 2020, and we have a great year planned, which will include our very first Fastener Training Week in Texas, as well as expansion of our Certified Fastener Specialist single-day sessions in the Midwest. Now, where the Fastener Training Institute is really investing in 2020 is with our online learning library. I really urge all of you, go to our website and take a peek at some of the training videos that we have currently available. There are over 40 fastener-related webinars on a range of topics that include fastener basics, metrics, platings and coatings, structural bolting, understanding PPAPs, Prop 65, and many, many more. You can cherry pick these and rent one of our webinars individually, or you can purchase our annual subscriptions, which will give you access for all of them for the entire year. Now, the cool part about the annual subscriptions is that we add a new topic every month. After we host a live webinar, we roll it into the learning library, so content is always growing. We're also continuing with our monthly live webinar series in 2020 with new topics including rivets and blind threaded inserts, automotive fasteners, fastener materials. Please go to our website, www.fastenertraining.com, to see all of our classes and webinars for next year. That's all I've got. Let's get back to Carmen.
Well, welcome back, everybody, to the Fastener Training Minute. And if you remember from just before Joe, the statement was this: heat treating is used to change the physical properties of fasteners. The answer to that question is true. That's exactly why we do it. Sometimes we heat treat fasteners, or any metal for that matter, in order to change the mechanical properties to make it stronger, to make it more fatigue resistant, to make it softer sometimes, and sometimes just to make it completely soft. Heat treating is fundamental to the fastener manufacturing process, very important to anyone that is involved with manufacturing, using, or inspecting fasteners. And we cover this topic thoroughly in our Fastener Training Week program for the Certified Fastener Specialist at the Fastener Training Institute. So if you want to know more about how heat treating is used to affect the physical properties of fasteners, you should come to one of the Fastener Training Institute's training programs. This has been the Fastener Training Minute with Carmen Vertullo. Thanks for listening.
This is Frank DeVito from Solution Industries, and you're listening to Fully Threaded Radio.
Anyone who's attended a trade event and visited the booth of Master Distributor Advanced Components has probably walked away with a smile and a bottle of hot sauce after talking with CEO Suzy Cravens. But little did we know that Suzy has a hidden talent that was recently brought to light for the fastener industry and the world to see. She competed on the Food Network's Christmas Cookie Challenge. Suzy, thanks for hopping on the podcast with us to tell us all about this.
Well, thank you for inviting me to this jolly Christmas special, or holiday special is what I should say.
Yeah, we're trying to compete with the Food Network, okay?
Hey, we can do it.
Well, in our market, I think we have a shot, so it's not a laughing matter. But yes, thank you so much, Suzy. Well, this was huge news. I mean, let's set it up.
Okay.
You're the CEO of Advanced Components, and we're going to give you a chance to let everybody know all about that before we get into the real nitty-gritty of what happened in this TV appearance. But it splashed across Twitter, LinkedIn. I'm sure it was on Facebook and other places. Suzy participating. What was it, November 17th it aired?
November 19th it aired.
Okay.
Yes, at 9 p.m. Central Time. We had quite a few watching parties across the nation, might I say.
And in North Dallas.
Yes. Well, just to let you know a little bit about me and who I work for. So I am the co-owner of Advanced Components, and I'm also an employee. And Advanced was founded by my dad, Doug Barry. Some people may know him, back in 1972. So we're pretty old. And we're centrally located in Dallas, Texas. And we're a master stocking distributor and a trusted supply chain partner. And we do a lot of supply chain management. We customize inventory programs for manufacturers and distributors. So that's Advanced for you.
Yeah, you guys have a pretty broad product line, including a lot of the commodity categories that really kind of scare me, like stuff like expansion nuts and tension pins and things, I'm sure Brian knows
really
about. But
crazy specialty, highly engineered fasteners. I mean, I can roll a list off for you, but depends on how much time we have.
Well, it is a fastener show.
Well, so some that the manufacturers we work with are Parker Fasteners. We have a great relationship with them. Ramon Tinnerman, AVK, Hayco, Vogelsang, Davies, Captive, and Duplex Group, just to name a few.
Wow.
So, and I have to tell you, we are so excited about our collaboration with Parker Fasteners. So This.
Yes, and as you know, they're partners of ours.
Oh, yes. Well. I think I do know that. But I mean, I have to tell you that, Parker has been so great to work with, and we feel like our future is so bright as we help them grow their line and their customer reach. And, they are the leading domestic cold heading manufacturer of socket head cap screws. God, that was a lot to say. And Advance, we are their master stocking distributor. So
cool.
We have a super great partnership, great people, great product. Go Parker. Go Advance.
Go Parker. Go Advance. Now, I got to say, with your television appearance, I can see why you were selected for this role, because you have beautiful elocution, Suzy.
I'm sure I sound like a West Texas hick. But, oh, well. I love being a Texas girl, but thank you.
Well, you're right at home, because we have also on the podcast, as you know, lifetime honorary Texan Brian Musker with us.
Right, yeah, I'm just checking accents, okay?
Just keep talking, Brian.
Right, so my accent is like 7,000 miles south of Brownsville, so it's a fairly deep south.
Absolutely.
The
deepest.
Now, you're based in Coppell, Texas. Brian, where were you
Coppell,
when you were based out there? Oh, I said it wrong?
Yeah.
Think of Cop Hell. That's where I live. Yes. Ooh, don't drive fast in Coppell.
Seems like I run into that in every state.
Right.
There's one in every state. Well, where were you, Brian? You were outside of Dallas.
No. Our company actually was in Midway Road, I think in the same street as Advance used to be, actually. It wasn't Midway
Very
and
close.
Beltline. We were about a half a mile north of Beltline, sort of where it goes near, Addison Airport comes into the side of it. Used to. All that's changed now.
Yeah, I actually think that we could have thrown rocks at each other. When we were on Wiley Post Road, way back in the day, actually, when my sister and I, when we took over Advance, we were in just like this tiny little warehouse building. I mean, we were so small. We were stuffed in there. I had like 3 people in my office. I had a stock room, or like a little closet off my office, and I had someone officing in a closet. So, but it was very tiny. And of course, we moved. We're in a very large 60,000 square foot building now. But you were very close to me, Brian. And I'm sure we ate at a lot of the restaurants at the same time, and we didn't see each other there.
No, actually, what I remember really well is that I had a very good introduction when I first got to Dallas, and because I'd never been to America before, and I was taken down. There used to be an old place long on Beltline. It was east of Midway, and it was called the Black Eyed Pea.
Yes.
Which was, I guess, my first introduction to, the sort of equivalent of like Texas home cooking, I guess it was. I don't know what you'd define it now.
Yes. It's just good old comfort food.
Right. So everyone was surprised. I managed to surprise everyone because I'd just come from Australia, which had totally draconian drink driving laws. Okay. This is back in 1984. So first offence was like $5,000 and a year in jail, and the second offence was your loss of license for life. Okay.
Oh my gosh.
Plus 5 years jail. So you did not drink and drive. You went to a party. You stayed at the party all night. And so I remember going to Black Eyed Pea one night, and I was in a suit and everything, and I'm sure the locals encouraged me to drink more than I should have, and I realized I couldn't possibly drive home. So I walked home in the rain.
That was before Uber.
And this was trouble because, as you know, that part of Dallas, there are no footpaths.
There aren't.
Probably in any.
We call them sidewalks.
I had to walk all the way. Yeah. Right. There's no. Yeah.
You'll get used to it.
Yeah. So there was no sidewalks. I had to walk along. I got so drenched, and all of the people who worked with me went there the next morning, realized my car was still in the parking lot, and they couldn't find me.
Oh my gosh. Well,
I remember that.
I'm glad you didn't drive, but back in those days, many people drove anyway.
Oh, I know. I know. I always got
the road
caught.
soda was an institution in Texas. Let's face it. I mean, it wasn't something just that was culturally accepted. It was legally accepted.
Absolutely. There is a very popular burger spot in Dallas that you drive up, Keller's Burgers. You get a burger and you get a beer, and you sit in your car, you eat the burger, you drink as many beers as you want, you drive off. Not anymore, of course.
No, this is
run someone over. That's the name.
Yeah, right. This is the original Dallas.
Right.
I mean, clearly there were problems, but it was an easy place to live. Actually,
it still is.
And what used to happen was I used to go with once I met some of these locals, they used to take me to their softball games. I used to play softball in the evenings. They'd all get together and drink and play softball. And of course, what I didn't know was that you couldn't drink in public. Everyone else was, but they didn't bother to tell me. So the cops would turn up and I'd be the one with a beer can not hiding it. Everyone else would be hiding it. They worked out how you could hide it in 5 seconds, but I wasn't told to hide it. I always got caught. And the cops, they asked me something. The others would be looking sideways, and the cops said, "You ain't from here, are you?" No. He said, "You cannot."
It takes years of practice to develop that skill.
Hey, that's a great idea. Next time something like that happens to me, I'm going to throw on my best accent.
Yeah,
it comes naturally for you, though,
Suzy.
Suzy.
The wrong accent, though. I need to get I can't do the Australian accent, but I could try the British.
Oh, too bad. That's your get out of jail free card. Ask Brian.
Yeah, apparently.
Right.
Yeah. Well, I didn't. It was sort of rare, but I was always the one that got caught, and I realized it was a special art to being able to hide your beer and pretend that you were not drinking at all when the cops would drive past, because they didn't really want to pick anyone up. They were just trying to make sure that people weren't drunk in public.
Exactly. And then there were fasteners, right?
You're right.
Yeah, this is a big lead up to how I entered the fastener industry by Brian Musgrave.
Oh, yeah, it was right. You're right.
But we're going to switch the topic now away from drinking beer in Texas to Suzy Cravens' appearance on the Food Network show, which is really good. But, there's a lot of foodies in the fastener industry, aren't there?
Yes, there are.
As well as heavy drinkers.
Absolutely. I think we do both those things very well. I know my experience just from, because Advanced Components is like members of like almost every association out there. So we attend many of the association events. That there are a lot of people out there who like to go to really good restaurants. Some of them may be off the beaten path, but they've done their research and they know that it's really good. Some of them may be, expensive, but everything is surrounded by food, and food is what brings people together. It's such a social adventure. Food and cocktails.
Yeah, that's right.
And people love talking about candy and cookies and cakes, and because we all love them, especially this time of the year, because all diets seem to go out the window.
Yeah, there's the problem.
Yeah, especially in your specialty area, which is apparently baking and pastries and all that.
Right.
Now, before we get really hardcore into that, the hot sauce that I referred to a couple moments ago that you hand out at the trade shows, Texas Prairie Fire. I have a bottle of it here on my desk, as a matter of fact, from I think the Las Vegas show.
Mm-hmm.
Good stuff. How did you start doing that? And of course, you also referred to your sister, and that's Pam Berry,
Yes.
who most people see you wandering around the shows with.
Yes.
And how did you two come up with that idea?
Well, actually, it wasn't our idea. It was, they were passing out hot sauce long before Pam and I came into the business. They used to pass out a brand called Texas Champagne hot sauce. I think that was the name of it. And we couldn't get it in the small bottle anymore. The bottle has to be a certain size in order to go on the planes. We couldn't get it in the small bottle. So we had to change branding. And we had a really fun contest with our employees to name the hot sauce. And so one of our employees, Mark Bowman, who's in our inside sales, he won. And that's the name of the hot sauce. And people just expect it of us. I mean, if I brought cookies next year, people would look at us and go, "Where's the hot sauce?" So I would never bring cookies.
Yeah, well, we're going to get into this a little bit now with the whole Chipotle thing. I don't see how it fits in with cookies, but you're going to explain that. All right, so that's the hot sauce backstory. When you were sitting at your desk one day, the phone rang, and it was the Food Network saying, "Suzy, we need you on the show." Is that pretty much how it happened, or am I totally wrong?
Well, yeah, it was pretty much like that. They kind of stalked me, and I had to go through several different Skype auditions with them, and they made me set up an Instagram just for my baking. So they have heard about me because there's a couple of things I do in Dallas and no one really knows about. For many, many years, I've entered this cookie contest, the Dallas Morning News, and I have won for so many years, I've lost count. And I win like the biggest category, which is called Cookie Man. And I also, in the month of October, you can just count me out of the office. And I hate to tell people this because it doesn't sound very professional, but I participate in all the cooking competitions at the Texas State Fair.
Oh, this is perfect for Fully Threaded, Suzy.
So my office loves it when I do it because literally I take all this food to the cooking competitions at the state fair. I compete, I win my ribbons, then I bring all the food to the office and everyone gets to eat it. I mean, what a great place to work, huh?
Yeah, you're right. You're right. So when you're sending invitations to us to turn up there.
Exact. Come on anytime. But the Food Network contacted me and they actually told me I had to set up an Instagram just for my baking. So they could see everything I've done. So I did that. And I really thought this was a long shot. I mean, honestly, I don't think I am the demographic they look for, which is the really cute, young, hip baker who's got a cookie business. I'm a home baker. I don't have a business. But they interviewed me and made me bake for them. And finally they said, "Where have you been our whole life? You're on."
Oh, cool.
So, I know.
So the question is, why would you want to? I mean, anyone who's looked at any of these cooking contests on TV, it's like you'd slit your throat rather than do it, surely.
Seems very stressful.
Yeah.
You know what? I just thought of it as fun. I mean, to me, it's about the adventure and it's about trying new things. I mean, it's exactly like working for Advanced Components. My father...
explain that.
Yeah, you're right.
It is. My father never let me into the business. I've worked my entire life, but I never worked for Advanced Components. I did when I was in college. I would work in the warehouse and I would ship out product, But, whenever I graduated from college and went to work, I mean, I worked in the hospitality industry and then I went into the creative industry. Like I worked for Michael's Arts and Crafts. I was in their corporate office. I was in charge of their educational marketing for the entire chain. And the reason I did that was because I'm super creative and just all that. And so my father, being very ill, called me one day at work and said, "You need to come home." And I'm like, "Dad, I'm at work." And he said, "Well, you need to come home. You have to quit and go to work for Advanced Components." And I was like, "What?"
Really?
And so I kind of like the reason why I said that was like, I looked at going to Advance as just a big challenge, just like Christmas cookie challenge. And when I worked at Michael's, I had thousands of SKUs I had to work with. And when I come to Advanced Components, there's thousands of SKUs. The difference is I have 25 employees here, and I didn't have 25 employees at Michael's. I had 2.
SKUs is SKUs. Is that what you're saying?
SKUs are SKUs. That's right. Right. I was selling crafting items, and now we're selling fasteners.
Well, the episode aired, like we said, what was it, November 18th or 19th? And
19th.
so 19th. So, but when did the whole process begin? Like, when did they originally reach out to you?
So they originally reached out to me in December of last year, and that's when it started. I had several Skype interviews. They decided in February that I would be on the show, and we filmed it in March in LA.
Wow. And they flew you out there and everything, right?
Yes, they flew us out there. They put us up in the fabulous Holiday Inn Express in a really bad area in Burbank.
What?
And there was no place to go buy a bottle of wine. There is no bar. So you would spend 14 hours in the studio going through the whole process, and then you couldn't even go home and unwind with a glass of wine. No, you just went home and passed out. You were exhausted.
Wow. Did you tell them that a typical NFDA meeting hotel has like a vending machine with champagne in it?
Yeah, right. I mean,
which is true.
Oh God, that is true. That is true. But it was different. Let me tell you, this was different. We would get in so late from filming that most people, they were young, they need more food than I do. They were like calling Uber Eats. I was just like, I'm going to go to the vending machine, get peanut butter crackers, and go to bed. So it was tough. Long days, but a lot of fun. How
many days?
It was a challenge. I was there for a total of 3 nights.
So 3 nights.
Yes.
And the filming for that, they condensed down into half an hour or something. Is that right? So
an hour.
Mm-hmm. An hour. So do you have to redo your cooking? I mean, do they have multiple takes of what you're doing? How does it take so long?
Okay, well, let me tell you what takes so long. This is the stuff that people just don't know. So you get there.
That's why we're asking.
And they lock you in a room with your crew members. Well, most people in a crew are so into their heads and what they're going to do. They just sit there and stare at the wall. You can have no electronics, no phones, nothing. Okay. So typically people would just sit there. Well, no, not my crew. We played games. They had all kinds of fun games. They had Uno, Skip Bo. We were yelling and screaming, and we played cards for 14 hours. That was the first day. So the first day we got there, we had wardrobe where you put on your outfit and they film you to see if your clothing vibrates. The pattern vibrates.
Oh, yeah. Okay. You're right. Yeah. On the TV. They're not testing you for vibrations. Yeah.
Right.
I would think they'd have all that down to a science by now.
Yeah, they don't,
It's still trial and error, huh?
Right. You have to go there with several different outfits. And then you go to makeup, which, was fabulous. Let me tell you, I wish I had someone to put makeup on me every day. I looked
what was that
great.
like?
It was awesome.
You did look good.
I did. I had a nice little red lip. And the guy, even though my hair was like sticking up like crazy woman, afterwards he was like gluing it back down again. I had a great makeup artist. He was fabulous. I love sitting in his chair and just chatting with him. And then after that, you would go to a production trailer where you would sit down and they would film you and ask you questions about yourself, like who you are, what do you do, what do you like, what do you cook, what are you cooking? And from what I remember, I talked about the fastener industry forever. I talked about all our association meetings, our parties, my company, all this. They cut all that out. They don't care. They don't care about the fastener business. They just want to know that I bake cookies.
Yeah, they were pretty well focused on pastry at that point, or gingerbread and the like.
They were. They just wanted to see me like kick. This cookie has some heat to it. Not kicked. But people who haven't seen this, I actually, during the filming of this, just did this little high kick. It was lovely. But no, so then you go through all that process, and then you go back to, that's a 14-hour day right there. And then you go back to your hotel, and the next morning we filmed our first competition. So the first competition was just the decorated cookie, 2 different scenes. And for me, it was Santa trying to get the North Pole fit, because everyone at the North Pole's gained a little bit of weight. They're a little chubby.
Yeah, that was, hang on a sec, because let's set this up a little bit. That whole setup of what you were supposed to bake and all that, this is for me, it's one of the reasons that the whole genre is a little bit of a turnoff. Now, I enjoyed watching the show immensely. Don't get me wrong. But that whole thing, it was so far-fetched. You had the theme that they came up with and the way the host presented it and everything like that. What was your first thought when they told you how you were going to be setting up this cookie thing?
Right. Well, everything they kind of do is, everything they present is kind of kitschy, the way they, set it up. And, Eddie, who's the host, he is a chef and I think a sports star and a comedian. So everything he does is kind of funny. I loved it when Ree came out and actually lifted off the weight, because they weren't real weights. But
yeah, he was totally busted. That was kind of funny.
Right. Oh, he's so muscular. Let me tell you, that man stands next to you and you're like, oh yeah, he was quite handsome. But
yeah, I think he's got a little juice going with his cookies.
Yeah, probably so.
Brian, in case you didn't see it, he had 3 wheels per side, so that's 315, folks. And he was doing these benches, and this lady came in and just basically did like an instant spot for him. So it was kind of funny.
This lady was Ree Drummond, the pioneer woman. Quite fabulous, let me tell you. Anyone who watches Food Network or bakes or cooks knows who the pioneer woman is. But nevertheless, when they told us our whole theme, I just kind of died, because I would have liked something different. I didn't know what to do.
So that truly was a shock. They didn't set you up for that.
No, it was a shock. They give you
I was wondering.
They give you a little time to figure it out,
Like how long?
Probably 30 minutes. You know your recipes, right? I know my recipes. And I kind of had in mind going in what I was going to do, because I knew what Ree Drummond likes. I didn't know who the other 2 guest judges were going to be. So I kind of knew what kind of cookie I was going to do. And I knew I was going to do that chocolate cookie because it's dark and anything on that really pops. The color pops off of the dark cookie. It makes a nice photograph. But when they said that, I was like, oh, that is so not me.
Fitness Santa.
Right. No. And so the only thing I could think of was I had to be simple. And the one thing you didn't see when they were critiquing me was that on the elf cookie that was on the conveyor belt running to make the conveyor belt work, I had to explain that cookie to them. They didn't get it. I wrote on there elf powered, which to me kind of means that the elf is powering the conveyor belt.
And me and others.
They didn't get it. But, maybe they got it. But, producers, I'm pretty sure, are talking in the judge's ear and they're telling them what to say. I don't know that for a fact, but I'm thinking they do.
No, it's not hard to imagine. But let's set this up even a little further for the folks who haven't seen this episode yet. So the format is there were 5 contestants.
Right.
And you had this set period of time where you had to make 2 kinds of cookies, and then you went in front of a panel of 3 judges, and that was an elimination round. So out of that, 2 people got sent home. Then you had one more round, and that was to determine the winner. Right. So the first round happened. 2 people got sent home. Now, were they ticked off, or did they take it with kind of grace? How did that? I mean, it looked very graceful on the finished product, but what really happened?
Well, I would say they would be upset, wouldn't you?
Yeah, I would. Yeah.
You know what they do? As soon as they announce it, they separate us. The winners go to one room, the losers go to another room. And then they interview the losers and they send them back to the hotel, and then they send them home. So we really
Same hotel, or do they downgrade them?
How can you get downgraded from the Holiday Inn Express?
It's Hollywood. It's Hollywood.
I know it is, in big, beautiful Burbank. Yeah, I would say that they were pretty upset, but unbeknownst to me, they did have a few issues that I didn't know of. We all had issues during that filming. I mean, think about this. You are sitting there in a cooking station. You don't know where anything is. I mean, they've given you a tour of the whole area, the whole studio, and they tell you where everything is, but it's not your stuff, right? And so even like their powdered sugar was clumpy and hard. I mean, to me, that's unacceptable. So we had crazy challenges and we couldn't find things. And so that slows you down. I felt like in that show, I ran constantly to get things. And me running is a funny thing.
It was.
And and they filmed it a lot. And you have cameramen all over you. And you have microphones in your face. You have microphones taped to your chest. You have people fixing your clothes. You have people patting your hair down. There's just so much going on. And then on top of that, a producer comes over and goes, "Hey, Suzy, ask Jasmine how her cookie's going." You have to go, "Hey, Jasmine, how's your cookie?" And you're just like, "I don't care about your cookie, Jasmine. Leave me alone."
Yeah, I hope they're bad.
I wanted to ask you about that because really the way that they did that, the way that the final cut was, Jasmine and Jeff, now this is in the second round, Jasmine and Jeff were chatting back and forth, but they didn't show you doing it until really the very end. And I was wondering, hey, what are they're giving her the short end here? I mean, how did that work? Or really, could you not tell? And that really came out only in the final cut?
Okay, I'll tell you why. Because in that final round, I cut my finger, which is like death. So I was chopping ginger and I poked my finger with a very sharp knife. Blood. I mean, blood is like death. So I had to stand back, hold my hands
and we thought
up.
It was red food coloring.
Oh, I had, and they bandaged my finger, checked all my stuff. I didn't have to start over. And the whole time I had a medic watching my finger as I worked, and they stopped me several times and redid the bandage on my finger. And then finally they made me put a glove on. Well, I had red food coloring all over my hands. So my hand under that glove looked blood red. So they they showed my hand a little bit with that glove on, but I had so many things going wrong at my station. I had a timer that didn't work. That's why that piece got burned. Because I forgot about it. You have so much going on. I had freeze spray, which is what you use to hold your house together. I had 2 cans that were empty, and I just stood in the middle of my workspace and threw a temper tantrum. And in the end,
Wait a second. How they started you off with empty cans?
Yeah, they were empty. Well, okay, my episode was the last episode they filmed. So everything in the pantry had been used before. And even though
okay.
they say that they check it, I don't think they do. I had 2 empty and I was throwing a fit and I was dropping the F-bomb and I was cussing like a sailor. And finally a producer said, "Hey, Suzy, look at Jasmine's station. There's a can over there." And I was just like, I think I cussed at him and I ran over there. Of course I ran. And I got it.
Well, you just answered another one of my questions, because I heard a lot of, "Oh, golly geez," and stuff like that. And I was thinking to myself, there had to be a lot of, fastener industry language flying around there, and they had to cut it all out.
Oh.
Was it kind of an easy thing? Was it coming from all quarters?
Well, it was coming from me. I don't think it came from Jasmine. Jasmine, the girl who won, who did the temple, she was over there in her workstation, perfectly neat, sitting down, decorating, humming, being very calm. And then the other guy was just over there, just, doing his thing. I mean, he had some issues, but yeah, nothing like me. So I had my poked cut finger. I had my burnt piece. I had all kinds of things going wrong. The freeze spray, it was getting towards the end. I knew I wasn't going to win.
Well, not only that, you forgot the special ingredient.
I did.
I was told. See, I was wondering if that was a setup or if that was real.
I forgot about it.
How could you do that?
Well, I did.
That was the whole point of the. There's the whole point of the thing. How did you do that?
Well, I do have to tell you, I really didn't forget about it, but I kind of dug a hole and I stuck my head in the ground and I decided to ignore it. And you know what that does to you? I did not have time to deal with that damn tahini. And why I chose tahini, I don't know. I should have chosen olive oil.
What is that even?
Tahini is sesame seed paste, which actually I have put as a filling in a cookie before. You mix it with powdered sugar and it was really very good, but it just did not work with my cookies that I made. Because I made a citrus cookie with cinnamon and orange. It didn't work with the tahini. It would have worked really well with chocolate, but I didn't do chocolate. So bad on me. Yeah, everyone, let me tell you, the day after this show, I had a SFA board meeting, Southwest Fastener Association board meeting, and they teased me the entire board meeting. "Suzy, don't forget the tahini."
That's pretty good.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, it was pretty fun. But yeah, the tahini. But in the end, I knew I wasn't going to win. So I just started really hamming it up. And they didn't show this, but in the end, I had sprinkles and I was standing back and I was throwing them like a pitcher, like throwing them at my house, just going, "There, boom." I didn't care. But you know what? It actually photographed really cute. My finished.
Wow. Yeah, you miss a lot on that final cut, I'll say.
my finished little house looked pretty cute.
I thought it was really good, and it was not a surprise to me. The judges were in awe of your metallic roof, and I said, "Hey, this woman deals with that kind of material on a daily basis. She knows what she's doing."
Absolutely, and I had the right fasteners in order to adhere it to the gingerbread.
Yeah, I'm sure.
I brought those with me. But I do have to tell y'all that Ree Drummond, the pioneer woman, was the cutest thing I'd ever seen. She knew I was from Texas. She's from Oklahoma. First thing she said was, "Howdy, neighbor." Oh, so cute. And she winked at me the whole time. It's like we were soul sisters.
That's what put you off. That's how you forgot the tahini.
Yeah. Well, she wasn't watching me the whole time, but you have to stand in front of them for quite a long time and be critiqued.
Like how long?
It's at least 10 minutes. And they edit it, right, for the show. So you're sitting there and they're critiquing you. And at first they're like telling you everything they love about it. And you can tell the judges are just talking, off the top of their head and just, it's full of love and joy. And then it gets really quiet, pause for a long time. And then suddenly a judge will say, but it was really sloppy. I'm very disappointed. And you're looking at them like, what? You just told me you loved it. And then they start critiquing you, and you're like, oh, I just got to leave. I'm so over this.
Right. I think that's the producers, I think, in their ear again, and they need to cut it both ways depending on how they want to make their final product.
Exactly. Like in the show, when they tasted that chocolate chipotle cookie and they were all waving their mouth like, oh, it's hot. And then they cut to commercial. I was just like screaming because I don't remember it like that.
Yeah. Now you know how like a political candidate feels when they get quoted and misquoted and everything gets...
Yeah, they pick one second out of a half-hour talk.
That's so true. I never thought of it that way.
That's show business. So you weren't really on a contest. You were on a TV show.
Right. I was in a TV show that was a contest, and I did not win the $10,000. But
now, I was also gonna ask you if you got a consolation prize of any kind aside from the amazing accommodations.
Well,
yeah, staying in Holiday Inn
I tell you
Express.
what my consolation prize is. I have 4 new friends across the United States. And I actually, at the Pac-West event in Sonoma, I actually got to have dinner with one of those new friends. So that is the best consolation prize. And for me, I never expected to win because they are all professionals and I am just a home baker. But my goal was to make it to the top 3, and I did.
Yeah, cool.
I think you kicked Jeff's ass.
I think I kicked his ass too. And that's who I had dinner with in Sonoma. And I love him. But I tell you, what? Had I not made some technical boo-boos, I could have been in the running.
Now, how did he take losing to Jasmine?
I think we both took it very well because we both saw how beautiful her house was. The thing is, when you saw her gingerbread house in person, you saw how her roofs actually bend. They were curving. And for her to be able to do that without the whole cookie falling in, I was just like, how did you do that? We were amazed. Plus, whenever you get to spend that much time with people and you really enjoy them and you know that they're quality people, I mean, we were both very excited that she won. Very excited.
Well, she was very, very talented, and her decorating skills were just really, really amazing. I mean, I think she really was the winner, and she organized her time well. She was very poised about the whole thing, and I don't think you have anything to really feel too bad about. Although I have to say this, the judges and the producers and all that kind of gaming everything, the one girl who got booted in the first round,
Jennifer.
Did you see that part where they hid the lemon juice? Or they didn't hide it, but like it was right there and they actually showed it on camera over her shoulder and she's asking for it.
Right. They do that. They don't tell you where anything is. They do not tell you where anything is. So for me, I had a great cameraman. He would whisper things to me. Like when I was like, where's my knife? Where's my knife? I couldn't find my knife anywhere because my workspace was so messy. I was like, where's my knife? And he goes, look to your right. And he would kind of help me, navigate through the thing. At one point, my roof on my house was fondant. That fondant was as hard as a brick. And there was no way I could roll it out. Well, they have a sheeter, which is you put the fondant in this machine and it flattens it and rolls it out. I had never used one before, but he said, use the sheeter. So he would help me, but they didn't help Jennifer find that lemon. I thought that was kind of funny.
Yeah, well, then for them to show it and make her kind of look foolish, I don't know, it adds to the drama, and somebody's got to look like the fool on those shows. Yeah. Otherwise, you don't have any, it's not entertaining. But the one thing that really surprises me about the whole format, I said this before, but it always seems on those cooking shows where it's a contest, it always seems very contrived to me.
Mm-hmm.
And I think they have a lot of interesting personalities and a lot of really interesting recipes and things that they cook by and large on those types of shows. But the competition just seems so fake. And from what you're telling us, it's actually not as fake as I might have thought.
It's not fake, and it is timed. Literally, it is timed. So, and after the gingerbread competition, which was a 4-hour competition, when you got through with that and they took you back to your little green room, the medic was there immediately shoving electrolyte pills in your mouth, making sure you swallow it, and gave you a Gatorade and made you drink the whole thing.
Wow.
Because,
oxygen mask?
I mean, literally. Yeah. They are.
Oxygen?
They do, because I guess they, your adrenaline is going 100 miles an hour for 4 hours. And then you go in there and you're just like, I'm done. Wait, let me pass out. I mean, Jeff did not feel well, and neither did Jasmine. I felt great because I have been trained by the fastener industry.
Years of going to Vegas.
Right.
No, absolutely.
Yeah.
I tell you what, this
Were those lights hot?
Oh my gosh. Yes. I describe myself afterwards as a hot mess, and that goes several different ways. I was a hot mess because so many things happened, and I was a hot mess because my hair had so much hairspray on it, and it was sticking up straight because it was like wet and gooey. It was hot. Yes. And I mean, literally,
really
you
nice.
did have a cameraman like right on top of you, like leaning up against you, like over your shoulder, in your body. And you're just kind of like, oh, don't touch me. Don't touch me.
Plus the key grip. Was the key grip tolerable?
He was tolerable. Really, everyone wore black, so you just really didn't notice them, except for your cameraman. Yes, he was there.
And the microphone situation, didn't you have mics kind of hidden on your body somewhere?
Oh, we did. We had the most expensive mics in the world, and I think they were so scared we were going to go home with them because it's like you had your own mic person who was constantly tugging on the mic line and sticking their hand up your shirt and fixing it. But it was a lot of fun. Would I do it again? I probably would not do a cookie challenge like that. I do like competing in regular competitions. I have tried out for the, it's called what? The Great American Baker. It's similar to the Great British Bake Off. It's a Great American Bake Off. And I did get to the second to last interview tryout, and then they cut me, and then they've come back to me and they want me to try out again. I might do that, but I have a lot of things coming up in my life that are more important than that right now.
Yeah, well, you're on the SFA board now too.
I am. We've got that. We've got a wedding coming up in our family, and that's very important. And
who's making the cake?
Not me. That's for sure. I will pay for that. But yeah, the Southwest Fastener Association is keeping me pretty busy. And I don't know if you guys know much about SFA because you're not in our part of the world, but
no, I've been to meetings back when Rodriguez was the president. He used to get us involved with that
20 years ago.
It wasn't that long ago.
Getting back
to the wedding cake though,
yeah,
you could make one that looks like a giant cage nut. That's kind of cakey.
Yeah, I don't think Mallory will accept that. But I am going to make the groom's cake because, that is a very traditional Southern thing. And it will be a cake, and it will have a dog up on its hindquarters with its feet on the cake, and a chunk of the cake will be gone. It looks like the dog will have eaten some of the cake. I'll make sure and send you a picture afterwards.
Yeah, do that. Okay.
It will be a masterpiece.
I'm sure it will. Plus, you have no pesky camera people in your face the whole time, or microphones and hairspray. It sounds like a real nightmare in some ways.
Exactly. So, I will continue with advanced components. We got a great thing going on here. Love working here. It's a great place. I've always worked my whole life, so I don't know what else to do. But, baking, decorating, that's kind of my side thing. That's what makes me really happy. That and wine.
Thank you. And hot sauce.
Yeah, right. And making hot sauce.
Right. And you. Happy holidays.
Oh, thanks, Suzy.
Wow,
you're
thank
Suzy
you.
Kringle or Suzy Snowflake. I can't decide which one.
Oh, I like Suzy Snowflake.
Yeah,
That's
remember
cute.
her? Remember back before snowflake was a dirty word?
I know. I didn't even know it was a dirty word, so I don't even want to know why it's dirty. So don't tell me.
It's not dirty. It's just a charged word these days. It's like so many words that used to be pretty useful. Now you really don't use them too much because you might be misinterpreted.
Oh, yeah, I get it. There's a lot of those.
Yep.
Yeah.
But that's who you remind me of in some ways. And I think you brought a lot of life to that show, and they were lucky to have you, just like we are in the fastener industry. And they are on this SFA. I kind of cut you off there.
You did.
What is happening on the SFA? Well, the whole baking theme, and I saw the Cajun nut here on my screen on your site, and anyway, what's coming up with SFA?
Well, so many great things are coming up with the SFA. We've gone through we are in a big period of growth and change, which is so exciting. I'm on my second term of the board right now, and I'm so honored to be part of this change and to see this change. We have so many exciting events coming up in 2020. So the first one is in late February. It's going to be in Houston, and it's an innovative idea that will move our association like a step ahead of the traditional tabletop conference. Everyone's trying to get away from the tabletop. Well, I shouldn't say that. I don't know if everyone is or not.
Well, no, there's a couple of really good ones coming up next year.
There
But
are.
anyway,
Absolutely.
I'm sensing a reveal here,
They're
Suzy. Are we going to hear a big
not trying to
reveal?
get away from the tabletop. We're just trying to find something different that also works. So it's going to be a social, and it's an opportunity to have a tabletop without having to stay at the table. And you'll have your own tabletop, but then you're free to engage in conversation with others in the fastener industry. It will be a social. And it'll be a 3-day event. We'll have tours of Houston fastener facilities. We'll have the tabletop, social, and a golf tournament, which we're really excited about this format. Excited to see how it's going to work. And it's going to be in a beautiful location in Houston. I'm in Dallas, and our sister city is Houston. I'm just so glad that Dallas is Dallas and Houston is Houston, right? Right.
I have a suggestion.
Uh-huh.
Add a bake-off.
Oh, yeah. I'm sure the board will go for that.
When is this? When is this happening, Suzy?
Or a chili cook-off.
Late February.
I like that idea, Bri. Chili cook-off. Yeah,
I know.
You could throw a little bit of Texas Prairie Fire in your batch, too, Suzy.
Oh, and that's very Texan, too.
Not a bad idea. I'm telling you. I'm writing down. I'm stealing ideas from you as we go along. But then I want to remind everyone in October, SFA is going to participate in the Fall Joint Conference with Pac-West and CIFA in San Antonio. And I'm telling you, Fastener World, you don't want to miss this event. It is going to be fantastic. So everything is being planned right now, so everyone will get more information as we get into 2020.
Wow.
The two major Southern associations teaming up more and more, it seems like.
I do like going to association events when you've got two associations that have teamed up together. I think it brings the ability to see and meet people that you've never met before.
Yep,
and it gives a little bit more energy. And I like that energy.
Right, we can tell that because you wouldn't have gone near a cooking show otherwise. I would have been running away so quickly.
Well, there will have been something else that you would do that I wouldn't do. I would never be on a home decorating show or a do-it-yourself show, anything like that. No. Mm-mm. No, cooking and baking is my thing. I've been doing this since the 90s. So it's very easy for me to do this. I used to dream about decorating cookies and how to do things differently. Not so much anymore, but I used to.
Wow.
Well, you are a foodie, that's for sure. And as we said earlier, there's a lot of foodies in the industry. I was talking to Dean, the IT guy from Stelfast the other day. We were talking about some miscellaneous stuff, and all of a sudden turns out he's a foodie too, and he whips out this amazing chili recipe. And if I was participating in the SFA chili contest, I would probably use a lot of that. It's got some cinnamon in it. It's got some black-eyed peas. And, oh, man, I can't say enough about Stelfast Dean's chili recipe.
All right. Well, I hope they publish that.
Actually, I remember from the early days when I used to be taken to the Texans pride themselves on cooking chili, which they do not consider to be what people up in the eastern states cook, but they'd have these chili cook-offs, and you could have all sorts of different types of chili, rattlesnake chili and all sorts of things. They'd use all sorts of different types of meat. Yeah.
That is a competition at the Texas State Fair. They have a chili cook-off and they have a barbecue cook-off.
Yeah, there used to be one up, that used to be the one I used to go to was up around that area of Carrollton that our companies were. Actually, where I was working was probably 500 yards away from where Advanced Components was.
I know. We were very close, and we didn't even know. It's like when I met you, I said, "Did you work at my company?" And I didn't know you. Oh, gosh.
Well, this is going to be an episode that we will not soon forget, Suzy. And folks, don't forget to stop by the Advanced Components booth next time you're at a trade event, tabletop or otherwise, and get a bottle of Texas Prairie Fire. And Suzy, you're never going to forget to include the tahini, I'm guessing.
I never am. And I just need to make things right. And I need to make a tahini cookie. And I need to post it so people can see that you actually can use tahini as a filling.
Right. Good.
But I will never forget it. And I'll never forget this. And cool. I thank Parker for being a sponsor.
Good call, Suzy. And we do too. And we thank you so much for coming on the podcast with us and sharing with the industry your experience. Again, this is a sort of falls in the purview of the predominantly fastener-related subject matter, but I think folks have enjoyed it.
Well, I am honored that you've included me, and I just want to say happy holidays to everyone. Enjoy it with your family, friends, whatever you do for the holidays, but it's a special time.
Merry Christmas, Suzy. This has been Suzy Kringle on Fully Threaded.
Hasta la vista, baby.
Yeah.
Ho, ho, ho.
Parker Fasteners is your premier cold heading manufacturer, forging the future with precision and quality as our top priority. When you think of domestically produced sockets and tamper-proof screws from alloy and stainless, including A286, think Parker Fasteners. Our lockout line of security fasteners feature high torque, oval center pin design, and unique lobes that provide one-of-a-kind security for your customers. Our in-house 3D printing capability makes the prototyping process fast and affordable, and we're ready to produce your large or small run orders with highly competitive pricing and unbeatable lead times. So, forge the future with Parker Fasteners. Visit Parker Fasteners online today at parkerfasteners.com.
Service, flexibility, innovation. Fully Threaded listeners know that fastener distribution is changing quickly. So this is the mantra you live by to stay ahead of the curve. At Stelfast, we work every day to bring innovation to fastener distributors to keep you competitive. We've made some big changes at Stelfast during the past year, building for the future. And while we build, you can be sure we'll continue to deliver the same great service and personal touch that's made us your trusted partner. Thanks for being a Fully Threaded listener, and thanks for being part of the Stelfast family, where we continue to say, for service you deserve and people you trust, it's Stelfast.
Solution Man, Ken.
Solution Man, you're my fastener hero.
Just doing my job, ma'am.
SOLUTION, SOLUTION.
Solution Industries. We are
Hi there, this is Jim Zender with Trinity Logistics, and you are listening to Fully Threaded Radio.
Hey, Bri, did I ever tell you about the time that I was involved in shooting a TV commercial and I had a similar wardrobe experience to what Suzy had?
A wardrobe malfunction during your child actor period, was it?
Yeah, well, it wasn't actually a malfunction, but yeah, it was a whole rigmarole. I was in 7th grade and I auditioned for and got a role that involved going to an amusement park and shooting a commercial. Actually, it was like a 30-second commercial, took 16 hours, if you could believe that. But anyway, they needed to tape the microphone to my T-shirt under my regular shirt for this thing. And of course, I wasn't wearing a T-shirt. So don't ask me why they just didn't go to a gift shop and buy a T-shirt, but they didn't. One of the producers, a real cute young gal, she coaxed this little 12-year-old kid to basically literally take his shirt off, and that's what they gave me to tape these mics on.
They were doing it on the cheap, were they?
I know, in hindsight, it's really funny, but this is what happened. So this chubby little kid is standing there with no shirt on. Anyway, we're working our way through the commercial, and a few hours later, he comes on, he says, "Hey, I'm going home." And we weren't done with the commercial, needless to say. And so she whips out $20, and this kid left the amusement park with no shirt on.
What he said to his mother? Come back and beaten the photographer crowd up.
Yeah.
I hope they paid you well.
It was actually pretty good. I was like 12 years old myself, and it was $1,000 for one day's work. So good line of work if you can get it.
Wow. That's a lot of money when you're 12 years old, especially when you were 12 years old.
It was a few years back. Well, that's probably a story for one of our upcoming Unthreaded segments, but it made me think of that while we were talking to Suzy. So, hey, everybody, to remind you, don't forget we talked about this contest right before that segment, and if you are one of the first 3 people to send us that missing ingredient from Suzy's segment there just a minute ago, you're going to get the prize package from BTM Manufacturing, some U-Bolt blend coffee,
and some ironclad gloves from Brighton Best.
It's going to be great. Send that off to ftr@fullythreaded.com. Looking forward to seeing who comes up with it first. So we didn't go too much into Suzy's auditioning process when she got on this show, but I had my own story when I got on that commercial, and it had nothing to do with setting up an Instagram. I can assure you that, Bri. But it was sure good of Suzy to share all that with us, and it sounds like it was a great experience. She certainly got the attention of the whole industry, and even though she didn't take first place, I was very impressed with her talents. And, well, let's just say thanks to Suzy Cravens of Advanced Components for sharing all of that with us on the podcast today.
And I think that anyone who's prepared to stand up in front of a camera with judges and try and cook deserves a medal.
Yeah, not everybody would be open to that.
And I'd also like to thank Suzy Cravens from Advanced Components, because yesterday in the mail I got a little box with some red hot cinnamon candy and a bottle of red hot sauce.
That's Texas Fire, right?
Right.
Good for you. See, you didn't even have to leave the booth, Bri.
Yeah, well, it's just so thanks very much for that. Yeah, I'm chained one leg to the booth all the time, so I never get out to see this stuff, and this is very cool, so I appreciate it.
Next year in Vegas, Bri, we'll have to set up a special time for you to run over to Advance.
Yeah, right.
Let's also thank digital marketing strategist Ian Heller of Real Results Marketing. Very interesting analysis. Reach out to him, folks, if he can help you on your digital journey. Also, David Palmquist of ND Industries had the rundown of the upcoming Pac-West NFDA tabletop and conference. Bob GQ Baer and Mike McNulty had the FDI survey results for us. Good job, guys. As always, thank you so much. And of course, Carmen Vertullo presented the Fastener Training Minute. Thanks one and all. The title sponsors of Fully Threaded Radio are Stellfast. For service you deserve and people you trust, it's Stellfast. and Brighton Best International. Tested, tried, true. Brighton Best. Fully Threaded is also sponsored by Buckeye Fasteners, BTM Manufacturing, Eurolink Fastener Supply Service, Fastener Fair USA, Fastener Technology International, InSequel Software, ND Industries, Parker Fasteners, The Worth Group, Volt Industrial Plastics, and Solution Industries, home of Solution Man. And now they're in an all-new home, and I think we're going to be hearing a little bit about that in the new year, Bri.
Oh, cool.
They're over there, and I don't even know how big the place is. We'll let John or one of his team, Frank, somebody on the podcast to give us the rundown on that. But really great news from Team Solution.
Wow, yeah, we have to go over and see them again.
That's right. It's just a stone's throw from here, Bri. Although I guess I shouldn't have used that term because, we already said nobody's going to be throwing stones at anybody around here on this episode.
Right. Yeah, right. And on another matter, folks, just remember also that we'd appreciate it if you make use of the FDI. You want to join in with this group of distributors that fill in this pretty simple questionnaire every month. And we would appreciate that, and so would the rest of the industry, okay?
That's right, and the website for that is fdisurvey.com. If you'd like more info on that, feel free, ftr@fullythreaded.com. That's also where you can send your comments on today's episode. Plus, don't forget, like we just said a minute ago, get your contest entry in. What was the ingredient that Suzy Cravens forgot on her Food Network appearance that caused all the hullabaloo? You could win fabulous, well, there's no cash involved, but fabulous prizes.
Right.
Well, Bri, Suzy helped us to unintentionally create a Christmas special this time, and it is our final episode of the 2019 season, so I guess that's fitting.
Yeah, it is.
Let's take a minute to thank everybody involved with Fully Threaded, Bri. All the sponsors, all the listeners, all the people out there who do little things to help us along. I mean, it's true we drive this thing, but there's a lot of helpers out there.
And the people who agree to be interviewed for the segments on the show, too.
Big, big help. In the new year, I hope we've got some really interesting people lined up to talk with you, and we're going to be experimenting with some new formats. And again, the sponsorship is so critical to this. I consider it personally a blessing and a gift. It's the time of year for giving has been a theme on today's episode. And we've been given the gift of the ability to do this podcast. And I take that very seriously, and I'm very grateful for it. In the coming year, our fine title sponsors are still going to be with us. That's Stelfast and Brighton Best International. We're also adding one additional title sponsor to the family. We'll be discussing that in January, and we'll have them on the podcast as well, but it's super exciting. They do a lot for us, but really it's a gift to the industry. And again, thanks one and all.
Yes, and that's true. And so that's why we're very happy to have our sponsors. They've been very good to us, and hopefully we've been good to them as well.
And I think one of the other great themes of the episode today is food, for sure, right? And Suzy said it best, it brings people together, especially at Christmas time. And so I hope that you'll all share some time with your family this season, gathered in the kitchen, cooking some wonderful things, baking, cooking, all that stuff. And it's really one of the only safe things everybody can agree on these days. So get in there and do that.
Right. Yeah, don't get sidetracked into politics. Just keeping the food is good. So I guess you'll be heading off to the desert to have a big Christmas with your family.
Well, that is correct. Heading off in a couple of days here and really looking forward to it this time. You're heading off out west too, aren't you?
Yeah, I am. Yep. My sister's family is all coming over. We're meeting up in California for a big English-style Christmas.
It's going to be good. I have one other suggestion for everybody. Apparently, this is a tradition that's kind of fallen by the wayside, but I don't know why, and it involves watching the movie It's a Wonderful Life.
Yes, true. I haven't done that for a while. It used to be.
Well, it used to be on television a lot, but of course, nobody needs TV anymore to watch these movies. It's the 1946 classic, Jimmy Stewart. Well, it's a Frank Capra movie, but it harkens back to simpler times. It's got a great message, take your teenagers away from their phones and make them watch this thing, because unbeknownst to them, as reluctantly as they will do it, they will pull very valuable messages out of the movie. And I think, you know what, if you do that, you'll be making the world a little bit better.
Yeah, if you can, okay?
If you can.
Right.
We all do what we can, right, Bri?
Yep.
And if you can, folks, join us for the 2020 season of Fully Threaded Radio. We thank you so much for being a part of this one.
And have a great Christmas, okay? Enjoy it. Drive safely wherever you're going, and we look forward to catching you in the new year.
And that's going to put this episode of Fully Threaded Radio and the season in the can. For Brian Musker, this is Eric Dudas. Get out there, sell some screws, cook something good with your family, and we'll talk to you next time.
Watch out for people throwing rocks. And whatever you do, don't forget the tahini.
Fully Threaded Radio is a production of Fastener's Clearinghouse. Music provided by Audionautics.